Stand up, New York Giant fans. What's going on, everybody? What's going on there? Late Nona, what's going on there? Tornado, what's going on there? Nick Stark, what's going on there? Shane, Trizzy in the chat, thank you for being here. What's going on there? Katreek, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate everybody for being here. Roll in the chat, what's going on there? Housemans, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. What's going on there? Elvis Anthony, man, what's going on there? D Wins, what's going on there? Rohan, what's going on? Chris, what's going on? Awesome. Alvin in the chat, Anthony in the chat, True Rap List in the chat, Stephen Lilly from across the pond. What's going on, my man? What's going on there? Joel Latto. What's going on there? Yo, Elvis. Brian in the chat. Hunter in the chat. Yuri in the chat. Tyler in the chat. Nate in the chat. Max Webster in the chat. What's going on, Ms. Rahi, my man? What's going on, my man? What's going on there, Elijah Jones? Show your video, by the way, Ms. Rahi. You're doing a great job over there. What's up there, Yuri? What's going on, Al? What's going on? Thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Obviously, we got a bit of Giants news. Big news came out today about Leonard Williams. Obviously, when I first made the video, the news had come out that the Giants were going to look to tag him, and it wasn't official yet. Well, it became official before the end of the day. We'll talk about that tonight. Obviously, that leaves all the options open now for the New York Giants. Like I've said for about 3 weeks now, what I expected them to do if they could not get a long-term contract extension done before the tag deadline, that's exactly what happened. Doesn't mean he's definitely going to be here. The tag and trade option is still open. If he's going to play hardball, they now have the option to sign him long-term. Or if he's happy with it, he can play out on the tag. My guess will be more than likely he will not be happy with it, but we're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. New York Flight, man, thank you very much, man. Had a cannoli today. Automatically grew chest there. And now my name is Tony. There's nothing wrong with a good cannoli, my man. And I got the chest moss. Oh, man, NY Giants 26, man, thank you very much, man. First donor of the day, let's run it up. Sorry, couldn't donate. Are you kidding me? Sorry, couldn't donate $100. Can't break the bank. Chris, tomorrow is my birthday, and the best present is Leo back in blue. Free agency is going to be wild. The press conference was hype. Yeah, man, I'm excited right now as a New York Giant fan, man. I really am. Just because we're starting to get the juices flowing, the offseason is officially now upon us. The New York Giants finally went out there. They did something. They went out there. They brought Leonard Williams back. And I know a lot of I'm going to be honest with you. You know, everybody in the chat, and then we're going to get to the press conference. Believe me. I'm going to be honest with you. I am shocked at the backlash that this move got. Now we don't know if he's definitively going to play out on the tag. Let's start there. Okay, they could extend him, they could tag and trade him. We don't know what's going to come from this, but I am shocked at the amount of backlash I saw from this move by the New York Giants. What did you think was going to happen? We traded for this guy 2 years ago. He had 11 and a half sacks. Dave Gettleman obviously likes him. Joe Judge obviously likes him. Did you think we were going to let him go? I saw some people saying, like, this is like a horrible move. Like, this is the worst move. What? We knew Leonard Williams was going to be back. It was obvious. He's back. I mean, that's what happens when your players play well. You know, we talk about trying to instill a culture and try to attract players to coming here. Well, when you produce, you get paid. The guy produced. The guy played well the half year he was here before. I'm glad Leonard Williams is back. I think he fits the scheme very well. And I'm happy that he's back. I think the defense needed him to come back. So I'm going to be honest. I was surprised that not as many people were happy about the move as I thought there would be. But Justin, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. You see Slater's pro day, 33 reps and 4. Yes, I heard about it. I didn't see it, Justin, but I did hear about it. Now, what I'm going to say about in terms of the 40 times or the underwear Olympics, as Dave Gettleman called it, with the combines. But what I'm going to say about the 40 times and everything else, you can't read too much into it for pro days. The numbers are kind of fabricated, but obviously you can't fabricate bench reps. But yeah, I heard that he had a very impressive pro day. We're going to hear that about a lot of prospects. Slater, if I had to guess, we're probably not going to take him, but anything's possible. I think we're going to be leaning wide receiver in the draft, depending what happens with Kenny Golladay. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that as well. Stephen William, man, thank you very much, man. We don't get cannolis from here. I got no chest there. My name is Bob. Well, Lily, you come to New York, I'll give you a cannoli and you'll get some chest there. Yuri, man, thank you very much, man. We're going to have a bidding war with Miami for Kenny Golladay. Yeah, you know what? I saw the rumor on CBS. First thing I'm going to say about that, Yuri, from the way that I read it, it was kind of more so speculation, and they were speculating they think the Giants and the Dolphins are the two best potential suitors. I think there's going to be other teams that throw their hats in the ring. I think you got the Jets could be involved. The Colts could be involved. The Washington football team could be involved. There's a number of teams that could use Kenny Golladay, believe me. And there's a number of teams with more cap space than us. So we'll see. If there's enough cap space, I think the Giants could at least show some kind of interest. But for that to even become a possibility, like I said in the video today, they have to extend Leonard Williams. I can't even see them entertaining bringing in Kenny Golladay if Leonard Williams is still on the franchise tag, because you can't manipulate that cap. That's $19.5 million no matter what. You extend him, then you could give, the roster bonus, everything that we saw with Dak Prescott gives you a little more wiggle room, and it at least makes it a possibility. As of now, I don't even view Kenny Golladay as a possibility until such time they give Leonard Williams an extension, if they do before free agency starts. But we'll see, man. Obviously, the Giants expressed interest in the past with the trade rumors that came out, at least according to Jordan Renan. But we'll see. He's definitely a guy that I think would fit very well. I've talked about him in the past. He's tall. I think he's a good red zone target. Max, man, thank you very much, man. I don't see how we keep Zeitler now, do you? I would love to keep Zeitler. I really would, Max. The only way we're keeping Zeitler is a restructure. He's not coming back on the current contract, but we knew that already. He wasn't coming back for a $14.5 million salary on a $180 million budget. We knew that already. If they can restructure the deal, I still think it's possible. But of course, we've heard the rumors that they are looking to potentially trade him. So I am leaning, as much as I hate to say it because I wanted Zeitler back, I am leaning that Zeitler will more than likely probably not be a part of the New York Giants next year. I think we're going to move on. I think we're going to save the $12 million. And I think they're going to look to sign a more affordable guard in free agency. And you're starting to see more and more names become available. And again, I'm sure we'll talk about that tonight as well. But there's a number of names out there on the free agency market that the New York Giants could entertain to try to fill some holes on this roster. Tons of guards are available. Tons of cornerbacks are available. Tons of edge rushers are available. There's going to be options for the New York Giants. And I'm going to say what I've said in several videos recently. Giants got to be patient here. You don't run to the table. We don't have a lot to offer right now in terms of cap space. Let those teams spend some money, and there's going to be so many players available that we're still going to be able to get solid free agents, in my opinion, if we wait, and we'll get them less than what they're really worth. And that should be the goal right now if you're the New York Giants, similar to what we did last year with Logan Ryan. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Pistol Pete, man, thank you very much. Leo the Lion is just getting started. He's going to feast on quarterbacks this year. 45% chance of getting Golladay. I'm not banking on it, though, Chris, to go. I am not going to go that high. I am not. Matthew G says patience. Yes. Matthew G. I love Matthew G. Absolutely patience. What do you mean patience? If we have nothing in our budget and the Jets have 80 million and the Colts have 60 million and all these teams have all this money, why are we going to rush to the table? Let them go out there, spend their money. There is going to be more free agents in this class than ever before. You're not going to get the biggest name, but we don't have the money to get the biggest name. So the New York Giants' best course of action, in my opinion, is to wait it out and get guys kind of like Logan Ryan last year for less than what they're actually worth. When there's no teams left to bid on these players or less teams left to bid on these players as they fill out their roster and there's still quality football players out there, the New York Giants will be able to fill a lot of holes in free agency. That would absolutely be my approach to this free agency period. We don't have, people look at our, they just think we have ample cap space. We don't. Connor, man, thank you very much, man. What happens if DJ struggles this year? It's impossible. It's impossible for me to answer that. It's impossible for me to answer exactly what will happen because I think a lot of that is dependent on the record of the team, where we finish in the standings. How poorly does he do? Because if we say we go 9-7 and Jones doesn't light up the world, well, we're not in the best of draft positions to go out there and get a quarterback. So I think a lot of it depends on where we're picking in the draft, how poorly he may perform. If we're picking at the top of the draft like the Jets, yeah, we'll be taking a quarterback. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'd be surprised if it did. So if you ask me now, more than likely Jones will probably get a fourth year with the New York Giants. Unless he completely shits the bed, which I do not think will happen. I don't think he's going to completely suck next year. I actually think he's going to improve. And I love zombies, man. Thank you very much, man. Let's shore up the receivers in the draft. Bring up a guy like Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler is a guy we got to talk about tonight. That is an interesting proposition. He was cut today. I don't know what his market will be, but obviously, like you say later in the super chat, who played with Logan Ryan and fixed up the line through the draft as well. I think it's a really good fit. A lot of people were at me on Twitter with that. Ryan has come out and said that he wants to recruit players. We all know that that is one of our needs, or at least in my opinion, one of our needs. Some Giants fans may disagree with me. Some fans seem to like Love. Some fans seem to like Beal. I think we need a more proven commodity on the opposite side of Bradbury. that's a really good fit. I think that is definitely a possibility for the New York Giants if they decide to fill some holes in free agency on the defensive side of the football. I think he makes a ton of sense when I saw that name. I think he makes a ton of sense. Again, it comes down to what the market will be. But yes, I think he's definitely got to keep your eye out for. Max, man, thank you very much. If we can't work out long-term deals, do we trade Leo? You know, here's what I'll say. And in the end, I think they're going to work it out. I really do. But in the end, if Leonard Williams, and I don't think you're going to be able to come to this conclusion before free agency. So it's not like by doing this tag and trade, it's going to benefit you at all in terms of this free agency period. You may do it by draft time if things start to, not look so hot. So you get a second-round draft pick, and then you get more cap space going forward the following year. And obviously there may be free agents later in the process. But unlike most years, I think there'll be more free agents later in the process. But I think if he's doing something similar to like what Yannick Ngakoue did last year, and he's displaying that he's upset that he's on the tag, and he's displaying that he wants out, and that he doesn't want to play for the New York Giants, and that he has no intentions of signing an extension, at that point, I don't think you have a choice. I think the Giants would have to look to trade him. Now, I don't think it's going to come to that. I think they're going to get a deal done. I think ultimately Leo is going to want to be here. I think he just wants his money. He wants to be paid what he thinks is fair, and I think that him and the Giants will come to a conclusion. In the end, if I had to guess, he's not going to take a 3-year deal. I think it's going to take 4 years to sew this up and get this done because, like I said in my video today, a 3-year deal is basically a 2-year deal. And at that point, if I'm Leonard Williams' agent, if I'm being honest, not talking from the perspective of a fan, I'm saying you might as well just play it on the franchise tag. Rather than get 1 more year worth of commitment, you'll hit the open market next year when the market accelerates, and you'll be able to get a bigger contract if you play well. So I think it's going to take 4 years, and I think it's going to take about $19 million a year probably to get it done. And I think that is relatively fair based on the market. I think that is what it will cost. And in the end, I think it's going to be around that ballpark if the New York Giants do give him an extension. But we'll see. What's going on, Word, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Thank you to everybody for being here, man. I really appreciate it. Nelson in the chat. I just want to keep getting this pop-up here. Just got the new laptop. Stephen Lilly, man, thank you very much, man. I love Judge and what he has done, but for the first time, he has done something I don't like. He seems to love Butterfingers. I choke Ingram. Yeah, you know what, man? I can't say I'm surprised. Judge is the type of guy that's going to back up his players. Judge is the type of guy that's going to back up his players. So I'm not surprised that he did that, if I'm being completely honest with you, Stephen. But what I will say is I do think they legitimately like Evan Ingram, and I don't expect them to trade Evan Ingram. And I am leaning right now, even though a lot of people in this chat may not want to hear it. And we're going to talk about Toilolo as well, with bringing Levine Toilolo back and the fact that they seem to like Evan Ingram, at least to finish out his year with the Giants. It leads me to believe that they don't have interest in drafting Kyle Pitts. I could be wrong, and maybe my opinion will change as the draft process gets closer. But right now, if you ask me, and I don't think Pitts is going to be there. I want to start with that. I think Pitts is going to be off the board. Everybody seems to love this guy. He's a tremendous prospect. But if he's there at 11, I would not be surprised at all if the New York Giants passed at this point in time. You already have 3 tight ends on the roster, unless they feel like he's a wide receiver. But I'm leaning that they may not be looking to draft a tight end in this year's draft. I know a lot of Giants fans want him, but that's just my opinion on the matter. Al, man, thank you very much, man. Start at 11 thoughts. Girlfriend says big thumbs up. Well, I appreciate that, Al. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Slater I read that wrong. You said Slater. I said starter. For me to, and I love the Hogs. I love the linemen, and I am always in favor of drafting linemen. I think the best teams draft linemen almost in every draft. You look at the New Orleans Saints. I always bring them up because the way that they built that offensive line for Drew Brees, they drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. I think 4 out of the last 5 or 6 years. The way that they built up that offensive line, I think that's what the best teams do. I think they pay heavy focus at that position. But I do think coaching and familiarity also has a lot to do with improved offensive lines. Even more so than the talent with the players. I think you have to learn to play with one another. I would find it very hard to justify drafting Rashawn Slater if you did not address the wide receiver position in free agency. I think it's that big of a need. I think we need a number 1. But you're not going to see me crying if we take Slater. I'm a big offensive line guy. You know that. It's a long-term pick. I love zombies, man. Thank you very much, man. Love your channel, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Let's see. Thank you to everybody for being here, man. I really do appreciate it. And I hope everybody had a good day. Trust me, we're going to jump into the press conference. We're going to do all of that. Rafael Deluna, he says, thoughts on Shaq Barrett hitting free agency? I think Shaq Barrett is going to get signed by the Bucks. I think he's going to be back. The Bucks, they signed Levante David today. They have cap space. I think they're going to find it. They're going to get a deal done with Barrett. I think they're going to pay him. I would be surprised. There is no way. Get out of your head, Giants fans. There is a 0% possibility that the New York Giants will be getting Shaq Barrett. You could bank that. So get that out of your head. But I do think I would lean that he's probably going to be back with the Bucks. I think they're going to try to keep that team intact. They won a Super Bowl last year. They've already brought back David and they franchise tag Godwin. So in the end, I think they're going to bring Shaq Barrett back as well. I think they're going to find a way to get that done. You can get creative with the salaries. Of course, it's going to kill their cap space going forward, but this is a team that won a Super Bowl. They're looking to repeat. Tom Brady's 5,000 years old. You're trying to get another Super Bowl out of him. So it makes sense to mortgage your future to try to win another Super Bowl when you have a 50,000-year-old quarterback. So I think that's what they'll do, and I think Shaq Barrett will be back with the Bucks. But Rafael, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. And Kevin Sullivan, man, thank you very much. He says, how can Dallas afford Dak's deal? The way that they structured it, I'll break down the contract. I don't have it in front of me, but I read the details. The way that they structured it is they gave him like $70 million or whatever it was guaranteed. And it actually is not that big of a cap hit in the first year, the way that they structured it. Like I said, when you sign people to extensions, there's ways to maneuver the cap. And that's what they did. They maneuvered the cap to try to fit within this budget, to give themselves freedom to go out there and keep this team intact. The other thing, and I hate praising Dallas, you know that I'm a Giants fan, but I got to be fair. The other thing that Dallas has done incredibly well the last 4 or 5, 6 years, they've drafted very well. So they've had these guys on rookie contracts. In addition to that, they've made smart extensions. I go back to Smith, the tackle. They extended him after 3 years. They gave him a deal well below market value, but at the time, it was a significant raise for him. They gave him a 5-year extension. They're paying him $10 million a year over the last 5 years. A guy that had to hit the open market, he would have made $22 million a year. So Dallas was forward thinking. They made some good extensions, and I think that's why they've had some cap space. But I also think it's the way that they maneuvered the cap with the extension, and that's how they did it. But you draft well, and basically they've kept their guys in-house. Obviously, they traded for Amari Cooper and ended up paying him $20 million a year, whatever it was. Pistol Pete, man, thank you very much, man. Chris, you need a press pass. These reporters are trash. Yeah, all right, let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about the press conference today, Pistol Pete. And, I'm excited. I'm always excited when Joe Judge talks, when Dave Gettleman talks. I wanted to learn more about this team. I want to know where this team is headed. And there were no real surprises. They came out there and said what I expected. We're forward thinking. We're not going to rush the process. We like where we're headed, so on and so forth, right? But the reporters, and I'm not even, Kim Jones, whatever, some people interpret it a different way than me, whatever. But the guy, and I don't even know who said it, the guy that asked it. Now think about this, Pete. These reporters have had a month to come up with questions for us as the fans. That's what they're there to do. They're there to get information from the New York Giants from us as the fans, so we can learn better about our team. This reporter had a month to prepare for this. And the best question he could come up with to ask Dave Gettleman. Dave, yeah, right here. Dave, I was wondering, Dave, is it okay if I call you an old GM? That was the best question that he could come up with. Dave, is it okay if I call you an old GM? You know what Dave should have said? Sure. Is it okay if I call you a jackass? I like that. That is the best question that guy could come up with. It was a joke. It was an absolute joke. But overall, I think that Dave handled the media attention pretty well. Obviously, he forgot a player's name. That doesn't look that great. But I actually think that Dave actually handled the media attention pretty well. And, of course, I think that Judge did a great job, and he always does with the press conferences. I thought Judge was very well prepared and did a great job. And Wyatt, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. He says, if the Giants signed Corey Davis, he would instantly be the best wide receiver on the team until the draft. I don't know why some people don't like the idea of signing him. I don't hate the idea of signing him, Wyatt, depending on how much it costs. I don't want to overpay, but I don't hate the idea of signing him. I actually think he fits the scheme rather nicely. He's just not a number one. I think people don't want to commit, a ridiculous amount of money to a guy that's not going to be a number one wide receiver. But I do think he fits the scheme well. I agree with you that I think he'd instantly be our best wide receiver. Not saying much. Well, Shepard's pretty good, but I do think he fits the scheme well. It depends on the money for me, though. I don't want to overpay. And the fact that the wide receiver market is probably going to be slim to begin with, you look at the guys that have been franchise tag. Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin. We're not getting Juju. He's probably next up after, obviously, Kenny Golladay. So he's going to get probably overpaid. But if you could get him here on a fair contract, I'm not against signing Corey Davis. But I think in the end, he's probably going to get more than what I'd be willing to give him. I'd be willing to give him maybe 10, maybe $11 million a year. I think he's going to get closer to 13 or 14. And I think that is more than what I'd be willing to give if I was a general manager with the market the way that it is right now. But if you get him for a fair salary, I wouldn't be against it. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And I think I had a new member. I hope I didn't miss it. Seth Looney, and make sure I didn't miss anything else. I hate missing things. I don't think I did. I didn't. All right, Seth Looney, man. Thank you very much, man. Stand up, new member. Welcome to the channel, my man. And we're talking to my sponsor today for all the members in the chat. I was talking to my sponsor today, and I know I still got to do the other giveaway. I always procrastinate, but I'll get that video up soon. But I was talking to my sponsor today, and we're going to be doing a giveaway in about 2.5 weeks. And he's going to be coming on the member stream. We're going to be doing that once a month. We're going to be giving away a signed Eli Manning football for one of you guys. So I'm looking forward to that. So there you go for all the members in the chat, just so you guys are aware. But yeah, I mean, I think that there was a lot. I think there was a lot. Oh man, Mark, man, thank you very much, man. Stand up, new member. I think there was a lot of interesting facts that came out today. I think that there was, what's going on, Big Blue in the Bronx, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. I think there was a lot of interesting tidbits that came out today from the New York Giants. The other thing that I wanted to hit home with before I read Seth, man, and thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. The other thing that I really wanted to hit home with was the talk about Matt Parrott. That really stood out to me. In addition to that, Joe Judge was asked about the edge rusher. But first, I want to talk about Parrott. Matt Barrett is a guy that I don't think any of us are like 100% sold that he's going to be the future right tackle. We don't know yet, right? He was the 100th overall pick. We hope he becomes that, obviously. But, when you're drafted basically as a 4th rounder, you go in and you say if he becomes a starter, great. And it sounded like today that Dave Gettleman was very confident that Matt Barrett was going to be the starting right tackle this year. That was one thing that I definitely took out of the press conference today. That is one thing that I found very interesting. Now, if they're going to do that, I think you need to sign at least a credible backup tackle. If you don't restructure Nate Solder, I think you need at least a solid veteran that off the bench, or even get a center and to give yourself the ability to move Nick Gates if he's struggling, whatever it may be. But I think they need to add a solid offensive lineman in free agency. Not a great guy, but a solid depth piece. I think that's one thing they have to look to do. But I thought it was interesting that came out about Matt Parrott today, that more than likely will be the starting right tackle for the New York Giants. So that was an interesting bit of news. Seth, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. What do you think of Joe? What do you think of what Joe Judge told Nate Burleson on Good Morning Football? Somebody in the chat let me know, because Seth, I'm not aware of what he said. And maybe it was. Oh wait. Oh, you're talking about at the when he came on and he said that he saw Joe Judge at the basketball game, his kid's basketball game or something like that. And what did Joe Judge say? He said he basically asked him about how he thinks the team's going to be, and he was confident. And he said that they need to add a couple of wide receivers, something along those lines. Is that what you're referring to? I mean, basically what Burleson said, if I'm remembering correctly, it's basically everything I expect from the New York Giants this offseason, unless I'm not remembering something properly. But I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was on Good Morning Football. I saw the highlights for it. Somebody on Twitter, it might have been you, actually pointed me to the video. But yeah. And Louie, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And he says, minus the injuries we suffered last year, what improvements would you like to see the Giants this year as opposed to how we played last year? Well, I mean, I think it begins and ends on the offensive side of the football. Obviously, you want the defense to continue to improve. And, that's one thing that I think some people may not be taking into account. We should be getting upgrades on defense just by getting players healthy. Last year, Xavier McKinney only played really 2 games in terms of getting real reps. He was kind of, thrown in there for a couple of reps here and there, after the bye, but really maybe 2-3 games he got starters reps. So he's going to get a full allotment of snaps. You're going to have, obviously, O'Shane Zimonid, you hope, back. The same thing for Carter. So just getting those guys back will be additions to this defense, very welcomed additions. And you just figure having another year in the scheme, we should be better. I also think they're going to make upgrades. I really do think they're going to make an upgrade at that second corner position. I really believe that. I think we're going to sign a corner. I could be wrong, but that's what I think we're going to do. But I think the major improvements have to be on the offensive side of the football. And for me, it always starts with the offensive line. It always starts for the offensive line. We absolutely need a wide receiver. Don't get me wrong. I'm on board with that. I'm on board with getting a weapon in the first round. But the thing that I think needs to improve and be consistently good this year for this team to be a very good football team is we need to see that offensive line that improved over the second half of the season take another step forward and remain consistent over the totality of the 2021 season. It starts and begins right there. That's where everything starts. At the point of attack, it gives Daniel Jones more time to throw. It gives Saquon Barkley more running lanes. It gives wide receivers longer time to run routes. So I think the offensive line needs to take a big step forward next year. I think they need to be consistent. I do think getting Saquon Barkley back in the lineup is going to help them because all of a sudden you got to respect a big-time playmaker in the backfield. Also, if you add a wide receiver, I think it'll help the offense line for the simple reason it makes the offense less predictable. So I think just adding these pieces and getting these pieces back is going to make this offensive line better. But that, to me, is the biggest key to this offense next year. Obviously, Daniel Jones is the obvious answer. But I think there's other pieces around this team that will enable Daniel Jones to take that big step forward. And if the offensive line even performs average consistently throughout the entirety of the season, I think that would go a long way to getting more out of Daniel Jones, to getting more out of Saquon Barkley, and to getting more out of the wide receiving corps. So for me, it starts with the offensive line. Max, man, thank you very much, man. What's going on there? Scott Manning's popping in the stream. Max says, gonna watch TV with the wife. Have a good stream. Max, man, thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you for being a great supporter. If you guys have not checked out Max, I was on his channel. Really cool channel. It's kind of got like a Joe Rogan type vibe. He has his favorite YouTubers on. They do interviews behind the scenes. So I thought it was really cool. I think he's building something really cool there. So check it out. Max, man, thank you so much for being here, buddy. What's going on there? Jared Mercado, man, thanks for being here, my man. And Lloyd says, Chris, if the top three wide receivers are off the board, who do you pick? It depends who's there, but I'd be leaning. All right, let's just assume if Pitts is gone in the top three wide receivers, let's just say that because obviously everybody would say Pitts. So if Pitts is gone in the top three wide receivers, let's assume four quarterbacks are gone, and that means only two other positions. Penei Sewell's gone, and we'll say one of the corners are gone. Let's say Patrick Surtain is gone. So you're looking at Rashawn Slater. You're looking at Caleb Farley. You're looking at potential reach at wide receiver, and Micah Parsons, perhaps. Here's what I'll say. In that scenario, I think if Parsons checks out, which I don't know if he would. I'm a big fan of Parsons, but obviously you worry about the backstory with him at college and everything like that. If he checks out, and I'm not worried about all that nonsense, that would be my guy if he's there at 11 in that scenario. If he's there, I don't know if he will be, but if he's there, I think he fits this defense very well. That's probably where I'm leaning in that scenario. But I wouldn't mind any one of those players I just mentioned. I don't mind Rashawn Slater. I don't mind Caleb Farley. But I think I would, if Parsons was there, I think that's where I'd be leaning. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, my man. Thank you guys for being here, man. I really appreciate it. Caleb Farley, I'm not going to be upset with either. I'm a big fan of Caleb Farley. I saw somebody say Farley 1,000%. I like Caleb Farley too. I think he's got tremendous upside. Seth, man, thank you very much, man. It was essentially that their main priority is to make DJ's life a whole lot easier for this upcoming season. Yeah, I forgot exactly what he said, but I mean, that's got to be the goal. That's got to be the goal. Last year, and I know a lot of people in this chat hate Daniel Jones and they don't think he'll ever be the quarterback, and I get it, but there's no denying it. Last year, Daniel Jones had a very tough job as the New York Giants quarterback, and he was in a situation that a lot of quarterbacks wouldn't have succeeded. So I agree with that. And I think they started that process by keeping everything together, keeping the coaching staff together, not having a lot of changes. Last year, you had a lot of changes. You had the pandemic. You had everything else. You keep it together. There's familiarity, a word I always use. I think that alone is going to help the growth of Daniel Jones. But then you add what you hope is a big-time weapon on the outside. You get Saquon Barkley back, and that offensive line continues to progress. It should go a long way for Daniel Jones. But yeah, that has to be the driving force for this offseason. I say it all the time. I said it a month ago. By the end of the year, I want to be able to confidently say that, yes, I think Daniel Jones is going to be a franchise quarterback. Right now, I can't say that. we got to give him the pieces necessary in order to evaluate him to find out if he's the guy. So that has to be the mission, in my opinion, this offseason. However you could do it. Obviously within reason. Like everybody's going to say, oh, why don't you just sign Kenny Golladay? Why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do that? There's something called a salary cap. There's also something called choice. These players have the choice of whether or not they want to come play with Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. So it's like Judge and Gettleman said today, it's not fantasy football. In fantasy football, the players don't have a choice. You could be like, oh, yeah, I want to trade for Odell Beckham. Bring him aboard on my fantasy team. That's not the way it works in real life. So within reason, you try to get as many pieces as you can to help this guy out. But I think where they're going to attack is in the draft. That's where I think they're going to attack. That's where I think they're going to get him his weapon. But Seth, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. And JD, man, thank you very much, man. Is Leonard Williams' tag assigned the Giants see Dexy as a future nose tackle? I mean, I think that's interesting that you bring up Dexter Lawrence, because when we initially drafted him, I thought he was going to be a nose tackle. He weighed 340 pounds. They ended up playing him a bit on the outside. I think that's the natural fit. I think if we lose Dalvin Tomlinson, I would guess he's going to be inserted as the nose tackle, B.J. Hill playing the outside, unless, of course, we draft somebody or sign somebody via free agency. But I think Dexter Lawrence will be the guy that steps in as the nose tackle. That would be my guess. And Wolfgang, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Chris, do you think it would be a good idea to trade Barkley if he gets hurt again? Much love from a Jersey kid living in Cali. Wolfgang, man, thank you so much for being here. As far as the trading of Barkley, the first thing we got to find out, are they going to extend him on the rookie deal? I think they have to. I think they will. You have to determine that before the year starts because you want to have that fifth year of control. So I think they're going to do that. But if he gets hurt again, I always say it, man, you don't trade guys when they're at their all-time low. And if you're talking about 2 injuries back-to-back, what are you going to be getting for him? You know what I'm saying? So if it's me and he gets hurt again, it's unfortunate, but I think you got to let him play out on the rookie contract at that point and very much question whether or not you'd be willing to give him an extension. But I don't think you'd get anything for him if he was coming off 2 major injuries. So as Giants fans, I think this year we got to hope he stays healthy. We got to hope he bowls out. And we got to hope that he lives up to that draft selection. We got that's it. Bottom line. I don't think we're trading Saquon Barkley. I really don't. I'd be shocked. I know fans talk about it. This is not Odell Beckham. This is Saquon. It's a different player. It's a different environment. The New York Giants are not entering rebuild mode, which is what they were doing when they traded Beckham. This is a team that's on the come up. This is a team that obviously believes Saquon Barkley is a part of their future. I honestly don't think they're trading Saquon Barkley. I know some fans may want it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Saquon Barkley, if all goes according to plan, will be with the New York Giants. I think he'll see a second contract with the New York Giants if he stays healthy and proves that he can produce. It's a huge year for Saquon Barkley with the New York Giants, but I don't think they would trade him, especially if he got hurt again. I don't see the value being there. I don't think that they would get many offers. That's the problem for me, man. Yuri, man, thank you very much, man. Slater put Chase Young on the ground. Slater's a beast. I mean, from what I've read, from what I've seen, Slater's jumped some people's draft boards in terms of some people feeling like he's the best tackle in this year's draft class over Penei Sewell, who got Heisman votes. So Rashawn Slater, they say he's the most technically skilled. I'm not going to be upset if we draft him, but I don't think we will. Ultimately, I don't think we will. Mike, man, thank you very much, man. On Thursday and Friday on NFL Net, they're showing pro days on Thursday. Texas and Clemson on Friday, North Dakota State and Oklahoma, and I believe one more team. Well, I'll definitely check it out, Mike. I'm waiting for like the wide receivers. I'm definitely gonna have videos up on that one. Like the first round wide receivers have their pro days. Like the guys we're interested in, the Waddles of the world, the Jamar Chases. So those are the guys that I think most Giant fans right now have their eyes on in terms of the first round. Kyle Pitts. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on. But again, I'm not gonna read too much into these pro days. I'm just not. The pro days to me, yeah, the bench reps, whatever. But the pro days to me, it's kind of fabricated. I don't know if you could trust those numbers. You go back, you look at the differences in the numbers between a pro day and a traditional combine. They're much different. So I think it's hard to judge these. The combine, like Gettleman kind of said today, it shouldn't even be your driving force to how you judge these players. It's a little bit of a tool, but to me, it comes down to game film. That's kind of what Judge said today. And I've talked about it in the past. I think the Giants, and don't get me wrong, it is not an ideal scenario for the New York Giants this offseason. It's not an ideal scenario for anybody in terms of the draft. It has not been a normal offseason. These guys did not play a whole season of football, some of these prospects. They've sat out for a whole year. But I think the Giants, in a way, actually have an advantage over a lot of the other teams. Look at their coaching staff. Every one of their coaches coached in college either a year ago or 2 years ago, for the most part. Obviously not Garrett and Judge, but the majority of these coaches came up from the college ranks. So they've coached these players. They've coached against these players. They've been in the process of recruiting these players. In a way, I think the Giants coaching staff actually has an advantage in this crappy environment. And New York for life, man. Thank you very much, man. I feel like some people don't understand that NFL players are independent contractors. Just because we want them doesn't mean they want to be here. And you're right. And that's what I was kind of getting at. And that's what I think Judge and Gettleman were getting at today. You know, you go on Twitter, they call them Twitter GMs, whatever. But people just seem to think kind of like Madden, kind of like fan, you know, you can just, it's easy. The offseason's easy. We need a receiver. Kenny Galladay's a free agent. Let's just snatch him. Like you're playing like daily fantasy on DraftKings. No, that's not the way it works. The players have to want to come here. So, that's why you always build through the draft. And Caden, man, thank you so much, man. Stand up, new member. Darian said you skipped my chat. Darian, I'm sorry if I did. Darian, I got it. Sorry about that. Once in a while, it skips on my laptop, but I got you. I'm going to scroll back up for it, man. Sorry about that, buddy. Good thing I caught you. Darian, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. He says, really hope we don't sign Galladay. He's the only good free agent wide receiver, so he's going to cost. Also hope Gettleman doesn't ignore the O-line and the edge. Darian, I completely understand where you're coming from with that, and it's kind of what I'm not going to be upset if we get Kenny Galladay. I think he really is the type of wide receiver that we could use. He's a tall threat, whatever. But it's kind of what I've hinted at in my videos where I've said it's kind of like Nate Solder in the sense that, and I'm not saying he's going to fail like Nate Solder did, but in the sense that he's not near the best wide receiver in football. He's a very good one, but he is the best in the free agency market. And what's going to happen now? It's very much like the Nate Solder situation where if we did sign Kenny Galladay, you would know the second we made the signing that we overpaid big time. And there is almost no way he's going to live up to that contract. You would know that the second you signed it. You would understand it because we need a number one wide receiver, but you would know the second we signed it that you're overpaying. He's never going to live up to the contract that he's going to get. That's what I'll say about Kenny Galladay. So I completely understand where you're coming from in that. You would have to overpay to bring him in because he is far and away the best wide receiver on the market right now in a thin wide receiver market. After Allen Robinson and Godwin said they're coming back, Juju's got the issues off the field. So yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from with that. And I have said consistently, we cannot afford to ignore this offensive line. I think a lot of Giants fans, because the Giants drafted a offensive lineman in the first, third, and fifth round last year, just think it's solved. It's not solved. They're still young. They're still unproven players. You cannot just assume this offensive line is good. You need to continue to build on it. You need depth. You need guys that could potentially be starters. So I'm with you on that. We can't just abandon that. There are other parts of this team that we need to solve. I completely agree with you on that. At the end of the day, we ranked 31st last year in blocking. Granted, the first half of the year, it was much worse than the second half. There were dramatic improvements. The first half, we were atrocious, but we did get better, but it's far from a finished product. And Caden, man, thank you very much, man. Stand up, new member, my man. Caden, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody, man. Thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. And I want to get True Rapless. That guy's always in my streams. That guy's awesome. He says, offseason plan, extend Leo and James. I'm assuming you mean James Bradbury. Structure to give cap flexibility in 2020, 2021, I think you mean. Trade Zeitler for a 5 and take half to sign Norwell offensive and get Galladay. Draft defense, Parsons, Asante Samuel Jr. Sign O-line depth. Okay, here's what I'll say, and I'm not even going to say that is super unrealistic. Outside, I don't think you're going to be able to trade Zeitler. I think we're going to cut Zeitler. I don't think any team's going to be able to afford to take on his $14.5 million salary. And much like the way you're thinking, like let's bring in Norwell for a lot cheaper, I think a lot of teams are going to think that way with Zeitler. Why am I going to trade for Zeitler when I could just sign somebody for cheaper based on the market? So I think it's going to be very hard for the Giants to get anything for Zeitler. And it's not even about Zeitler, the player. It's about the situation. So I don't think we'd be able to get a 5th round pick for Zeitler. I think we're going to have to cut him if we want to move on. I think we'll try to trade him, but I don't think we're going to be able to get much for him. I do think it is, I don't know if it'll be Norwell, but I do think there will be a guard if we move on from Zeitler, that we will sign at a much lower cost. Maybe a guy like $7-8 million a year to step in and fill his vacancy. So that part I think is completely realistic outside of the trade aspect. I think we could cut him. You have to extend Leo, and you'd have to do it before free agency to even make Golladay a possibility, unless you had an agreement in place and Golladay understood and whatever, but I don't think that'll be the case. There's going to be people knocking down his door. So for this to even become a possibility, you have to do it before free agency starts. Free agency is going to start in about a week, and we'll see. But at that point, if you got Golladay, what I will say is it does open up the door to potentially go defense in the first round. And that is what I think is the value if they were able to get a receiver that they felt like was the number one in free agency to doing it, because it gives you the option to take whoever. You could go defense, you could go offensive line, whatever. So I don't think that's a crazy plan. But I don't think you'd be able to trade Zeitler. I'll say that. And in the end, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think we're going to be able to get Kenny Golladay. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think we're going to get Kenny Golladay. I'd love to have him, but I honestly don't think we're getting Kenny Golladay. What's up, Robert, man? Thanks for popping on the stream, my man. He says, cheers, Chris. Matter of fact, let me get a sip of my coffee. Let me get a sip of my coffee. I saw Hazelnut in here. He said, get Kyle Van Noy. I'd like Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy obviously has ties to the team. He played in New England. We got our entire coaching staff from the Miami Dolphins. So I would like Van Noy. Again, I think that's kind of a guy that you wait out. You see how the market plays out. And if he wants to come here, maybe you get him for a lot less than what he made last year. Last year, I think he made like $14 million a year. Maybe you get him for 9, 8. I think he fits the scheme. I think you bring a veteran presence. He's got ties to Logan Ryan. He's got ties to Joe Judge. I think he could make sense, but it's got to be for a much lower rate than what he made last year. And X-Man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, Chris, my free agency list, wide receiver Tim Patrick from the Broncos. A lot of people like him. Linebacker Van Noy, the Butler, makes a lot of sense. And defensive end and offensive line depth. Yeah, I think I would lean. I think if we're going to bring back Leo, I think I have no problem getting defensive end depth. I think I would lean for that more in the draft, because you got to remember, or at least edge rusher depth, because we kind of have edge rusher depth already. You've got Zimenez coming back. You drafted a plethora of edge rushers last year. Of course, Lorenzo Carter coming back as well. So, but definitely offensive line depth. And then draft Waddle in the first. You know I love Waddle. Best offensive lineman in the second round, whether it be tackle, whether it be guard, and the best defensive end. I think that's entirely possible. I love that plan. If it happens, if you could get those guys at cost-effective contracts, you're getting bargain players. Patrick is a cheaper wide receiver. Van Noy is a good linebacker that you could probably get fairly cost-effective if you wait long enough. Butler, I think, would be an ideal number 2 corner. And then you get your number 1 wide receiver in the draft. So, yeah, that would be great if we had an offseason like that. And I think it's somewhat realistic. You're getting guys on – you're waiting. You're being patient. You're not rushing to the table. You know you're not going to get the premium free agents, but you're looking for guys like Logan Ryan last year. Guys that you know fit your budget. Guys that you know can help your football team and fill the holes. So, I like that plan. I think it's fairly realistic, X-Man. I'm not going to tell you that that's exactly the guys that we're going to add, but I like where your head's at. I think that's a realistic mindset in terms of the level of players that we could potentially try to bring in via free agency. I think that's a realistic plan. Giants Girl, thank you so much. Stand up, new member. Giants Girl's awesome. She's in all the streams. She supports all New York Giants video makers. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for becoming a member. Members of Fly. What's up, Matthew G? And let's see. Logan Ryan could really recruit big for. Well, here's the thing, man. And I love Logan Ryan. And you know, a lot of people let's start with the Logan Ryan contract. A lot of people complain about the Logan Ryan contract. And I honestly, when you look at it, yeah, I get it. It was 3 years. It was $30 million. It's not that bad. It's really not. There is no dead cap it after his second year in the contract. So essentially, it's a 2-year deal. The first year, he only makes $7 million. It's only going $7 million against the cap this year. The following year, it might be 11 or 12, but it's really only like a 2-year, $19 million contract. It's not that bad. And they're going to be able to fit Ryan, McKinney. They're going to play a lot of 3 safety sets. So when I really look at the contract, I don't mind the Logan Ryan contract at all. As far as him recruiting, listen, we don't have a big budget. We we don't have a big budget. We just don't. Like, I don't know how much he could help in recruiting in terms of getting premier players, but maybe he could get guys like Malcolm Butler, Kyle Van Noy to say, yeah, come here on a 1-year deal. We're building something here. And if you play good, look what happened to me. I got an extension. Next year, the New York Giants have $100 million in cap space. Maybe they love Joe Judge. Van Noy came out and said he loved playing for Joe Judge. You never know. Maybe he could help in that aspect. But I don't expect us to get like a premium free agent this year. I just don't. I'm trying to be realistic with you guys. I would love Kenny Golladay. I know that's what you guys want me to say. And I'm not saying it's impossible. I do think the Giants could show interest. There's let's play the game with Kenny Golladay and talk about how it's a possibility. If you extend, right now, I think we got negative $5 million in cap space. So right now it's impossible. But if you cut Solder, that gives you 6. Then you cut Zeitler, that gives you another 12. So now you're plus 13. You can make small adjustments, get you to the 17, $18 million range. And then if you extend Leonard Williams and structure the contract a certain way, not to mention when you bring in Golladay, you structure that contract a certain way where you don't pay him that much up front, give him guaranteed money. There's ways to manipulate the cap to get both on the team. So financially, it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. Zeke, man, thank you very much, man. Voidable years. I want Golladay, Lawson, Butler, Leo. Get it done. If you got that, I mean, I hope we get those guys, Zeke. I hope we get those guys. I don't think we're gonna, but I hope we get those guys. You get Carl Lawson with Leo, that'd be great. Butler would be a really good number 2, and of course Golladay. That's a dream, but I honestly don't think that's gonna happen. But I do think we'll be able to sign more players than people think. It's just not gonna be premier players. I think we'll be able to fill in some holes. Mook, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, just saw from a reliable source, Joe Tunney will be targeted by the Jets and Giants. Keep up the good work. You're a real one. I appreciate that, Mook, man. Thank you very much, man. I know you're a great subscriber. I see you all the time. Really? That's interesting. Well, it makes sense if he's in the budget. Obviously, he's got ties to Judge. Makes sense. And obviously, the Jets need to improve that offensive line. I would love him. We definitely could use some help there, especially if we're cutting Zeitler. We'll see. That would be a good one. That would definitely be a good one, my man. And let's see. Zenith, man, thank you very much, man. Smith will be there at 11. Waddle is Tyreek Hill, will go before him. No way in hell are they going to pass up on him before our picks, though, on Rondale Moore until he makes it. We're not taking Rondale Moore in the first. I like Rondale Moore, though. The problem with him is injuries. And you know what, man? I'm either going to look really stupid or really smart. My first mock draft, when everybody had Smith going in the top 3, top 5 picks, I had him going to the Giants at 11. I had Waddle going 7th. When I really looked at some film, read what a lot of experts had to say, I was more impressed with Waddle than Smith. And maybe I'll be wrong. But I am kind of in agreement with you. I think I'd prefer Waddle to Smith. But they're both really good. I'd be very happy with either one. Jay Rada, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, what would we get for Leo if we traded? I think we would get a second-round pick. I think we get a second-round pick. You look at last year, Yannick Ngakoue was tagged and traded, who's a free agent, by the way, this year. Yannick Ngakoue was tagged and traded. And keep in mind that Yannick Ngakoue was not traded until mid-August. So like a month before the season, he was not traded. And they still got a second and a 5th round pick. I think, I honestly believe that Leonard Williams would warrant at least a second round pick. And, for everybody that complained about the trade that Gettleman made, if in that hypothetical scenario, that's what happened, which I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to sign him to an extension. But if that did happen, say we traded him for a second and a 5th, the same price tag that Yannick Ngakoue got in mid-August. Keep in mind, this is before the draft when there's more value. So it's possible it can be a second and a 4th. But let's just say a second and a 5th. In that hypothetical scenario, the New York Giants would have surrendered a 3rd and a 5th to bring him in. You would have got 2 years worth of production, and then you would have traded him for more than what you initially gave up for him in that hypothetical scenario. Think about that. Let's see. Would it be best if we trade him then? I think they're going to extend him. And I'd be completely happy with that if they do, as long as it's within reason. But what I will say is, If you don't think you're going to be able to sign him long-term, I would rather trade him. If you think this is going to be the last year with Leonard Williams and you don't think you're going to be able to get an extension that works for both you and him, if there's a deal out there, I would rather trade him. That's what I'll say. But I'd prefer the extension as long as it's reasonable. Let's see what we got here. Pistol Pete says, if Leo continues to perform, I predict he is a Giant for the remainder of his career. You never know in the NFL, man. And what's going on, Waterfly, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. You never know in the NFL, man. Careers are short-lived. You know, Joe Montana didn't finish with the 49ers, for God's sakes. Tom Brady didn't finish with the Patriots, so you never know. And Taco, man, thank you very much, man. I got an RJ jersey. Now let's get Galladay. I'm going to be getting an RJ jersey tomorrow. I'm going to be getting an RJ jersey tomorrow. I know I've been telling you guys that. I'm ordering that tomorrow. I'm getting an RJ Barrett jersey. But, yeah, I mean, you could get a Galladay jersey. It probably just won't be a Giant jersey. It might be a Dolphin jersey. It might be a Jet jersey. But if you really want a Galladay jersey, if you're a big fan, I'm not going to get mad at you. I would only buy Giant jerseys. But, Taco, if I'm being honest with you, you're probably not going to be able to get a Kenny Galladay Giant jersey. But if you really want it, go ahead. Have at it. Get yourself a Miami Dolphins jersey, my man. Damn, Tana notices me now. And Dave says, sorry if I missed this, but did you address... Oh, man, Aiden, man, thank you so much. I got to get you your card, by the way, too. I got to mail that to you within the next week or so. I'll get to that in 1 second. Sorry if I missed this, but did you address how Williams liked an Instagram comment about not being here next year? Yeah, Dave, I saw people going crazy. I saw people going bananas about that. That Leonard Williams liked some comment where the guy basically said, you know, that he was going to leave or whatever it was, that he wasn't happy under the franchise tag. Well, who would be? Who's going to be? No player is happy when they get franchise tag. So I'm not surprised by that. Does it mean anything? No. At the end of the day, if the Giants show him the money that he wants to see, all of a sudden that frown's going to get turned upside down. Leonard Williams will be like, oh, I always wanted to be a Giant. I love it here. I'm going to thumbs up every positive comment about the New York Giants. So no, I don't read anything into that. He's not happy he got franchise tag. It's the second year straight that he got franchise tag. The Giants are trying to work out an extension. When they work out the extension, remember that smile that on my Dak Prescott video? This will be Leonard Williams if they work out that extension. If they get him a 4 or 5 year deal, he'll be smiles ear to ear. And Aiden, man, thank you so much, man. Stand up! New member. Aiden's the man. Love Aiden, man. What's going on, buddy? He unliked it. Oh, did he? He unliked it? Okay, well, I saw some people go bananas. Ryan D says, what's going on, man? They need to pay the man. I think they're gonna, Jay. I really do. I think they're gonna pay the man. You can customize the Giant jersey, but why would you do that if he doesn't play for the Giants? Why would you want a Kenny Galladay jersey if he's playing for the Colts? Did you pick the member? No, I said that at the top of the stream. I've been so busy with everything going on in my life and getting all the equipment. Probably have a video out tomorrow on that. I got to do it. And the package I sent out to the other winner got sent back, and I got to send that back out to him. So got to do a couple things, but I will have that up in a week or so. And the members giveaway, I talked to my sponsor today. That's going to be in about 3 weeks. He is looking on eBay now to get you the signed Eli Manning football. We're going to have that for you guys in about 2.5, 3 weeks. That's when I'll have the next member stream. So there's the news on that. Probably have them on the stream as we give it away. Anybody that is not aware, I got to give it a quick plug, guys. They help fund the channel. I got to give them a quick plug. Anybody that is not aware, the new official sponsor of the channel, Faruqi and Faruqi Personal Injury Lawyers. I'm sure my Ma's in the chat may be able to drop the link for you guys if you're interested. If you've punched yourself in the face because you're so upset about the Leonard Williams signing, maybe you need to talk to a personal injury lawyer. He could probably do he could probably help you out. We all know that New York fans are passionate and they probably hurt themselves all the time. And Manuel, man, thank you very much, man. Experts predict Patrick Surtain compares to Richard Sherman and Caleb Farley to Darrelle Revis. I would rather get Farley. Mandy better than Zone D, more from last year. What's going on, MYB, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Experts predict Patrick Surtain compares to Richard Sherman and Caleb Farley to Darrelle Revis. I would rather go get Farley. I think, from what I've read, they're both most people feel like they're both man press cover corners, but and they're both tall. That's one thing I like about both of them. That's rare that you see a 6'2" corner, especially one like Farley, though. Farley definitely has the higher upside. Farley's going to run in the 4.3s. Like, he's a super athlete. He's super tall. I think I agree with you in the sense that Farley definitely has the higher upside. But if you're drafting a corner, and I could be wrong, I could be entirely wrong in this manual, I think the Giants would lean actually Patrick Surtain. I'm going to tell you why. Surtain obviously went to Alabama, ties to Joe Judge. McKinney went to Alabama. They felt like McKinney fit the scheme. You would only think that they would feel that Surtain would fit the scheme as well. So if they were going corner, and my guess is at least one of them is going to be off the board anyway, I would think they'd prefer Surtain. But if I had to pick one, I think I'd go with Farley. I think Farley's got the higher upside. So I agree with you. I would take Farley. Connor, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, hey, Chris, if we sign Kenny Golladay, who would be your option for the draft? If we sign Kenny Golladay, it all depends on who's there. But what I'll tell you this right now, and I know a lot of people in chat are not going to want to hear it, because like I always say, you go on Twitter. I don't know about so much on my YouTube channel, but when I go on Twitter, and my YouTube channel is different than Twitter, I've learned that. A lot of the viewers on my channel do not have the same opinions of the people on Twitter. But if you go on Twitter, I say it all the time, if it was up to the people on Twitter, they would literally take a wide receiver rounds 1 through 7. If the New York Giants spent $20 million a year on a wide receiver, I'm not drafting a wide receiver in the first round. I'm not doing it. I've allocated 13% of my cap to a number 1 wide receiver. And he alone, if I'm paying him that kind of money, he better make the other wide receivers better. Sterling Shepard is capable of being a slot. Darius Slayton is capable of being a 2. I have other needs on this team. I'm going to address them. I'm not going wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. I'm not doing it. So at that point, I would look to improve another part of this team, whether it's linebacker, whether it's edge rusher, whether it's corner, whether it's offensive tackle. But I would not double up at the wide receiver position. Would not do it. And Kevin, man, thank you very much, man. New laptop is much improved. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I got a new mic too. And I'm sorry about the audio quality on that. I saw a lot of you guys comment on my video and I heard it after the fact that the audio was way off on the first one. I tinkered with it a bit, so I think it sounds better now. But yeah, I got a new mic. I got a new. Actually, this is not the better camera for some reason on the StreamYards. Actually, I'll show you guys what it looks like real quick with the better camera. For some reason, and I got to figure this out as I go, the better camera on the StreamYards, it looks like this with my green screen. So I don't know the reasoning behind that. Maybe I need better lighting. I don't know. So on StreamYard, I actually use the worst camera. And I used the new mic, though, and I got a new laptop. And let me see here. Camera Dog, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. And then I got to get to Jared as well. I missed him for a second. I'll pull it up, though. He says, hey, Chris, how much do you think we'd get for Ingram? Not a lot. Evan Ingram in a market where there is a shortage in cap, I don't think teams are going to be knocking down your door to bring in Evan Ingram, who's making $6 million, coming off a disappointing year. Maybe you get a third. Maybe. I don't even think you'd get that, but maybe you'd get a third. But from the sounds of today, if you listen to the press conference, from the sounds of today, I don't think they're trading Evan Ingram. And, you could take it with a grain of salt because the Giants said that they loved Odell Beckham too and they traded him. So take it with a grain of salt, but I don't think they're trading Evan Ingram. Now, I'm not saying if the right deal presented itself, they wouldn't, but let's put it this way. I don't think they're rushing to the door looking for offers to trade Evan Ingram. I got Kevin Sullivan, and I think I missed one guy. Jared Mercado, man. Jared, man, thank you so much, man. He says, if we got one offensive lineman to start, you want an offensive guard or a right tackle? Well, at this point, like I said, if you listen to the press conference today, I think it'll be a guard. I think they're going with Barrett, but I would sign a stable backup tackle. I wouldn't go without any proven commodity, at least as a solid backup at the tackle position going into the year if Barrett was going to be my starter. But yeah, I think guard's going to be a bigger need, especially if we cut Zeitler. If we don't cut Zeitler, obviously not. But if we cut Zeitler, which at this point it looks like it's at least very possible, I would sooner try to draft a guard earlier in the draft. Because right now, if I'm being honest, I don't trust Shane Lemieux. I'm not saying Shane Lemieux can't become a good offensive lineman, but he was a fifth-round pick for a reason, and he showed it last year. He struggles in pass protection, and obviously the Giants aren't fully bought in on Hernandez either. That'll be another interesting name. That's another guy that we may have to potentially extend next year. If we're cutting Zeitler, if Hernandez plays well, so that's another name that you got to keep salary cap, there to potentially extend him as well. So, but yeah, I think I would sooner spend early draft capital on a guard before I would a tackle. I think it just makes sense. I think it's more of a need if you cut Kevin Zeitler. What's going on, Irishman? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Draft Spencer Brown in the second, solid right tackle. Jarvis says, "What's up, Jarvis, my man?" And I see Nicky Sav in the chat. He says, "Farley's been running a 4.2 since high school. Still wants your well, you're a big Alabama fan." But no, I do think for this defense, I really do. I really do think for this defense, the Giants would probably prefer him over Farley. I really do believe that. So if they're going to pick one, I think that's where they're going to be leaning. Another thing I want to let you guys know on the channel, and I've been holding off on the draft content because right now, I just don't feel like it's appropriate to really be talking extensively about the draft because we don't know the roster yet. We don't know what we're going to look like after free agency. But after free agency, after we know our team, I'm going to be doing a live mock draft with different YouTubers on the channel once a week leading up to the draft. So probably like March 27, late March on, probably like 5 weeks in a row. We're going to do live mock drafts once a week on the channel leading up to the draft. So that'll be a lot of fun. That's something that we'll be doing live streams with. And let's see. Stephen Lilly says, the Entertainment Org Sports, what do you think about Brady wanting OBJ? I know a lot of people will say not going to happen, but the Bucs have given Brady. I don't understand. What's going on there, Mr. Gettleman? But I honestly don't understand why Tom Brady would need another weapon. How many weapons does this guy need? I mean, my God. Not necessary, in my opinion. Thrill Collins is actually, well, I don't know if I should say this, but that is Mr. Gettleman. He says, he said it. He said it with his text. So if you follow Dave Gettleman on Twitter, that's the guy. He says, Christopher, how are you, kid? How are you, kid? Mr. Gettleman, I have a question for you, Mr. Gettleman. Is it okay, Mr. Gettleman, Mr. Gettleman, I've been thinking about this question for about a month before the press conference. So this is very well thought out. I want you prepared. I want you ready to answer. Mr. Gettleman, would it be okay if I called you an old GM? Would you be okay with that, Mr. Gettleman? Would you be okay with that? I think it's a well thought out question. What do you think? Tana, what's going on? EJ says, Tana, haven't been on a stream in a while. Feels great to be back. What's going on there, EJ? Cool, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Davey G, what's going on there? Henny God, man. Thanks for popping in the stream. When is the NFL supposed to release the cap number? It was supposed to be today or yesterday, the day before the tag deadline, but the number hasn't come out. I would imagine it would come out before free agency. Teams need to know what they're working with, but I guess they're still working on it. So we'll see if that makes you feel happy, kid. Thank you, Mr. Gettleman. And Nick DeWick says, live mock right now. Type one in the chat if you want it. Well, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen right now. Ain't going to happen right now. I don't even have the anything situated, set up. So it ain't happening right now. I promise you that, Nick DeWick. But we will be starting live mocks on the channel when it is much more appropriate. We will be starting live mocks after free agency. I'm going to alternate YouTubers. I'm going to reach out to several Giants video makers, other video makers that you guys may want to have on the channel. As a matter of fact, I'll probably put it in my community notes and ask you guys who you want on the channel to do the mock drafts. I've worked with several video makers outside of the New York Giants circle. Obviously, I want to have Giants video makers on as well, but I want to have a different flavor. I want to have different video makers from different teams on as well. So we get to learn these teams a little bit better, what they have to say about their team. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And Steve Looney, man, thank you very much, man. Mr. Tana, it's okay. Can I call you an old fart streamer? Oh, Mr. Lil, it's okay. I'll let you do it. You're from across the pond. It's probably like 7 a.m. right now like 2 a.m. right now where you are. So, yeah, I'll let you call me that. Mr. Lilly. And please no more ones, guys. People are leaving the chat. Please no more ones. Please no more ones. Please no more ones. Please no more ones. People don't like spamming. Please no more ones. Please no more ones. we should sign a low end wide receiver later on in free agency. Then the cost would be low. Then draft another weapon at number 11. We should sign a low end. Well, I think Andrew, I think that's very well what we may end up doing. That's very well what we may end up doing. Don't spam. Don't spam, guys. Don't spam. Simple request. Don't spam. What's up, Dana? What's going on there? Johnny T, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Unless we overpay, I think Golladay would choose to go to a team with an established quarterback. We should address defense. I agree with you, Johnny T. And the thing is, we're not going to be able to. The thing is, we're not going to be able to overpay. So we're not even going to have that option. But I don't want us to overpay. So I'm with you on that. I don't think he's going to be coming here. If we're being completely honest with you, we'll see. But I don't think we're going to end up getting him. Tony, man, thank you very much, man. Draft Kyle Pitts if the top 3 wide receivers are drafted. Sign Curtis Samuel. Sign Kyle Van Noy. Cut Nate Solder. Sign Alejandro Villanueva, the offensive tackle, I think it is, from the Steelers. And Davis, linebacker, second-round pick. I mean, again, you're just throwing names at darts at a board right now because you don't know which players are going to be willing to come here. But in terms of the money, sure, if you get Samuel for about $9 million, Van Noy for about 8 or 9, I don't know what Villanueva would go for. That is in terms of the budget, that is a pretty realistic offseason plan. I think that could fit the budget depending on how we orchestrate these contracts. But yes, I think it's somewhat realistic. Yes. Entertainer, my friend. What's going on there? CJ Talks Movies, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Chris, everyone has to stop with Shaq Barrett. We're never getting Shaq Barrett. We're never going to get Shaq Barrett. We never could get Shaq Barrett. That's why I've never talked about him. We're not getting Shaq Barrett. So I don't even know. That's not happening. Collab with Bangle? I'd collab with Bangle. Big Blue today says, what's up, Entertainer? What's going on, Big Blue today, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. What's going on there, Vasily? What's going on there, Stealth? Do you think the Giants will sign Richard Sherman? No, I do not. He's up there in age. No, I don't. No, I don't think we're signing Richard Sherman. But I do think we're going to sign a corner. I might be able to give you a name, but I don't think it'll be Richard Sherman. What's up, Rowan, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Re-sign Leo, let Dalvin walk, sign Van Noy, Butler, Gallman, and Alex Smith. I wouldn't mind Alex Smith if he's cheap as a backup quarterback. And and the more I've thought about it, the more I think Gallman is more realistic than I initially thought with the condensed market and all the running backs are tied up. There's actually pretty good running backs. So I don't know if the market will be there for Gallman. I think we might be able to get Gallman back on like a $2 million, $2.5 million contract. I hope I'm right. Maybe somebody will bite the bullet and give him $4.5, $5 million. If they do, you got to let him walk. He's not in the budget. But if you could get him back for $2.5 million a year on a 2 or 3 year deal, yeah, sign me up. I'd love to have him back. I think he's a good compliment to Saquon Barkley, but it's got to be cost effective. The other thing that I wanted to talk about that I haven't talked about yet tonight, I meant to talk about it, was the Levine Toilolo restructure. And I was surprised about the Levine Toilolo restructure, if I'm being completely honest with you. I thought that we were going to cut him to save $3 million. I thought for sure we were going to cut him. It was one of the more obvious cuts for me as a Giants fan. I'm not going to complain, though. When I saw the details come out, I'm not going to complain. We ended up paying him $1.6 million instead of $3 million. A league minimum salary is about $850,000. So when push comes to shove, he cost us $750,000. Because if you cut him, you still got to sign somebody to fill out your roster. So he's 700. He's about he's about $750,000, $800,000 more than what a league minimum salary would be. So am I going to go crazy about that? No. I mean, I still would have cut him probably, but I don't think people could really complain about that when you really think about it. Rakeem, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says Giants need to restructure Leo's contract like I David. Trying to figure out who you mean by that. I don't know who you mean by that, but we'll see. We'll see if they end up extending him and what the structure would be. But I'm trying to figure out what you mean by that. I probably should know, but Andrew says, I asked this earlier on video. I use Spot Track, and we have two options. Get Golladay or sign Dalvin with another small player. I am leaning towards the second option, but what is your opinion on this? Okay. I use Spot Track, and we have two options. Get Golladay or sign Dalvin with another small player. You're in a fantasy scenario. You want my opinion? In a fantasy scenario, which it's not going to happen, I would sign Golladay. I love Dalvin Tomlinson. I know everybody in this chat loves Dalvin Tomlinson. Dalvin Tomlinson is one of my favorite players on this team. I think he's very replaceable. As a matter of fact, I think we may have his replacement on this roster. And I think you could get one of those guys in the second or third round to beef up the defensive tackle if you felt that you absolutely needed to. That's my honest opinion on it. I think Golladay, if we're talking around the same amount of money, I would rather get Golladay on this team. But we're talking in a fantasy scenario. It's not going to happen. We're not going to get Kenny Golladay. But in that fantasy scenario, Levante David, that's what you meant. Sorry, man. I didn't know what you meant, man. You meant Levante David. Levante David, I think, got $12 million a year. I don't know how they structured the contract, but he got, I think it was a $25 million 2-year deal. But Rakib, what I'll say about Levante David's contract, Leo ain't signing that. There is no way Leo's signing a contract like that, nor should he. If I was his agent, I would say you're an idiot if you do that. What's the point of signing a 2-year deal? They could just cut you after this year. Just take the guaranteed $20 million on the franchise tag. I think if he doesn't get a 4-year deal, he's not signing anything with the Giants. 3-year deal is only a 2-year commitment. They could cut you after 2 years. I'd rather just get my guaranteed $20 million and then hit the open market and have a team be able to give me a 5-year deal. So the only way the Giants are going to be able to retain Leonard Williams on an extension at this point, in my opinion, is a 4-year deal. It's the only way it's going to happen. I'd be surprised if he signed for 3. I hope he signs for 3. I'm a big fan of 3-year deals because of the flexibility it gives you to get out after 2. But if I was his agent, I would be telling him, no, you're getting at least 4 years. And if you're not, you'll play on the franchise tag, or we'll force a trade. Because a 3-year deal is basically a 2-year deal. What's going on there, Ryo, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Nope, Tomlinson is gone, and they draft Barmore. If they could get him, second round, if they could get him, that guy's awesome. Nikki Savage says, Chris, I know Kenny is good, but he's not a top 10 wide receiver, and I don't want to give a wide receiver $20 million, even if they are top 10. Use the draft for that bad edge class, so free agency for edge, if anything. A good cornerback draft, the center. Yeah. Listen, in an ideal scenario at this point in time, I am using the rest of my free agency money. I would not bring back Dalvin Tomlinson. I know you guys don't want to hear that. I know everybody in this chat wants Dalvin Tomlinson. And again, I'm not going to cry if we bring back Dalvin Tomlinson. Dalvin Tomlinson has played with these players. He's a great defensive tackle. I'm not going to cry. I'd understand if we brought him back. If it was me, I'm using the rest of the money to sew up the rest of the holes on this team. The cornerback, the depth on the offensive line, that's what I would do. And then maybe draft the defensive tackle in this year's draft. I wouldn't want to have to make a 3 or 4 year commitment to Dalvin Tomlinson, knowing that I'm more than likely going to have to make a 3 or 4 year commitment to Leonard Williams. Because at that point, if you make a 4 year commitment to Leonard Williams and you make a 4 year commitment to Dalvin Tomlinson and you're going to have to make a 4 year commitment to Dexter Lawrence, like how much can you tie up into the defensive line when you have to focus on other parts of this roster? You have to worry about extending Jabril Peppers. You have to worry about extending Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Andrew Thomas. We talk about Will Hernandez as a possibility. There's other spots on this team. There is only so much money, in my opinion, that you could tie into the defensive line. So, and BJ Hill is going to be a free agent also. So that's my mindset. And I love Dalvin Tomlinson. I would love him back. There's a salary cap. Sometimes there's casualties. Yeah, I know that Allen got tagged. And Tyler, man, thank you very much, man. Davion Nixon should be considered in the 2nd or the 3rd round. That's a guy, I heard the name, but that's a guy I don't know a lot about. But I will write his name down as I start to do more draft research as we get closer. I have heard his name, though, but I don't know enough about him. But I will write his name down. Tyler, man, thank you very much, man. Why not rock with Shane and Will? Shane can improve. Matter of fact, I'm going to read here. And if I get a donation, I'll go here. But it's just easier for me to read on the phone. Actually, this is going to die soon, so I'll start reading here again. But somebody said, what do you say? Why not rock with Shane and Will? Shane can improve, and Will is good. You can also spend a mid-rounder on a guard. Yeah, and listen, if I'm rocking with Shane and Will, which I think is an option, if I'm rocking with Shane and Will, I'm not spending a mid-rounder. I'm spending a second-rounder on a guard. Because even if Shane and Will end up being my starters, if that second-round guard is good, he now has the ability to step in and take Will Hernandez's spot the following year if I don't want to bring him back, or he has the ability to start over Shane Lemieux if he doesn't continue to play well. I am spending a relatively high pick on a guard this year, an interior offensive lineman. Center guard, you can move Gates around, but an interior offensive lineman, if we're letting Zeitler go and we're not extending Zeitler, I am going to spend a relatively high pick on an interior offensive lineman, whether it be the second or the third round of this year's draft. That's what I'm doing. What's going on there, Scotty H, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Lemieux is good. Why draft the guard? See, I maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying he can't be good. I don't think Lemieux is good right now. I'm not a film guy. I never pretend to be a film guy. I watch the games and I watch film breakdowns. Shane Lemieux sucks in pass protection. And I'm not saying he can't get better at that. He very well could be. But am I super confident with him being the starting guard going into next year, in a year in which you want to make sure that Daniel Jones stays on his feet? I'm not. I'm not. I'm being completely honest with you guys. I'm not. I want more sustainability at that position, and hopefully morphs into something. But that's just my opinion, man. And Tudo, all the way from Italy, man. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, all right. How you doing, my main man, Tana? Just tuned in tonight, Tana. Nation with my Giants red hoodie and Carolina. The C, what's up? What's going on, Tudo, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. The man managed to get a 0 pass blocking grade. Yeah. His run blocking is good. I'll tell you that. He's definitely a mauler, but his pass protection leaves a lot to be desired. And Steven says, there's something no one has said last year. Get him and kept money back in case of injuries. So I think we actually have less for free agency. Yeah, he didn't keep that much back, though. You know, he ended up, before free agency started, I think he said he was going to keep $20 million. He didn't keep near that. But they did have a rollover. This year. I think it was about $3 million. But yeah, like I said, you can maneuver money. But yeah, we don't have a ton to spend. Carlo, man, thank you very much, man. Trade back and pick Elijah Vera Tucker. Top 3 wide receivers are gone and a quarterback falls. Elijah Vera Tucker is definitely an interesting name. If I'm not mistaken, most people think he projects as a guard. I think he played tackle, but most people think he projects as a guard, which would be ideal. Another guy I like is Wyatt Davis as a potential second-round option at the guard position. But yeah, Elijah Vera Tucker is a guy that a lot of people like. I wouldn't be upset. I mean, if we trade down and we take him, I wouldn't be upset if the 3 wide receivers are off the board. Like I said, I mean, I'm a big fan of getting the hogs, man. I would not be upset at all. Tudo, man, thank you very much. Please, all passengers and NFL fans, fasten your seatbelts as hard as you could because Giants are coming back. They might have the same uniforms as before, but they are coming back with a nasty attitude this year. Tudo's confident. I love my foreign subscribers. Tudo's the man. Tudo is the man. Glad to see you in here, buddy. Listen, I'm confident in the Giants next year. I don't want to present overconfidence. Like, I don't want to come on here and say we're going to the Super Bowl. I don't want to set false expectations. But I'm confident in the Giants next year. I think we're going to take a step forward. And I've talked about it extensively. I'll give you guys a record prediction once I see the full roster after the draft. But, and I analyze all the other teams that we're playing on our schedule. But I like the Giants this year. I think they're going to be very competitive. And I think we're going to take another step forward in the process. I really believe that. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm right. I had him at 6-10 last year. I'll guarantee this right now, Tudo. I'm going to have us higher than 6-10 this year. I won't give you the record prediction yet, but I'll have us higher than 6-10. That's for damn sure. How much would a guy like Marlon Mack? See, people have brought up Marlon Mack, and I saw ESPN say that. I've seen people say that we might sign Marlon Mack. I don't want Marlon Mack. I don't want Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack had an injury last year. We talk about Saquon Barkley. You want a healthy running back. I'd rather bring back Wayne Gallman if it's going to be around the same price. There's a lot of other options at the running back position that I would pick before Marlon Mack. You got Barkley coming back from an injury. I want a healthy option there at that RB2 spot. So unless he's coming for peanuts, I really don't want Marlon Mack, man. Way too early prediction, Giants go 8-8. Well, I actually skipped it. Somebody said way too early prediction, Giants go 8-8. We're actually going to have a 17-game schedule. So 8-9 or 9-8. That's probably what you're going to have. It's not official yet, but that's where all signs are pointing that we're going to have a 17-game schedule. Chris, you making the Gettleman Project this year. The thing is, Vasily, I thought about making the Gettleman Project, and maybe you could give me ideas. Maybe people can give me ideas in the chat. In years prior, there were a lot of different options for the New York Giants. 2 years ago, we had I think it was the second pick in the fourth pick, I think it was in the second round, and we had the 17th pick and the 6th pick. So there were a lot of different trade possibilities, 2 different guys in the first round. You could have traded up with either pick. And then the next year, we had a lot of teams that could have moved up for a quarterback, picking where we were at number 4. So that's kind of the scenarios I played out in the Gettleman Project. This year, I don't really see, because we're picking later in the draft. I don't think there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks there when we pick. I don't think we're going to have an attractive draft selection to trade up for, maybe. But I don't really see that many different possibilities in terms of, I don't know, options for us in the first round. I'm going to do mock drafts, but I just don't see that many options. And Bear, man, thank you very much, man. Assuming that the good wide receivers are gone when we're up, what do you think of going defense first 2 rounds, maybe corner and edge? I love defense, and I want to keep this defense cooking. I want to keep this defense growing. And I'm a big corner guy. If we don't address wide receiver in free agency, I don't see how you could go the first 2 rounds without drafting a wide receiver. Maybe if you're not in love with one, you take defense in the first, but at that point, I think you have to take a wide receiver in the second. Now, if we address wide receiver free agency, it's a different ballgame. Then you do whatever you want. You go defense, whatever. But if we don't address wide receiver free agency, I personally will not get on. Well, I don't control anything, but my opinion is they should not pass up taking a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. I think it's too big of a need to wait until the 3rd round of this year's draft. That's my honest opinion. So if they address it in free agency, though, I wouldn't be upset with that. And Tudo, man, thank you very much, man. Chris, when are you going to bring a pessimist on to level out your Giant optimism? Who do you want me to bring on? Do you want me to bring on people that say that the Leonard Williams trade is the worst trade in the history of football, or that everything's going to – I mean, if you want me to bring on a pessimist, I'll bring on a pessimist. But I'm just going to disagree with everything the guys to say. Not everything. There's things that I think are worthy of being pessimist about, but some things I think are over the top pessimism. And Tudo, man, thank you very much, man. I strongly believe the Giants have a very talented and young players in the coach's staff. All they need to do is make a few twerks, adjustments, and a much better preparation for 2021. Forget about it. Listen. I think our biggest strength right now. I could bring you on. Well, Alex, I'm gonna have people on. I'm gonna have you guys come on once we have more things to talk about. I'm gonna have people come on, like calling shows and stuff like that. I'll probably do that once a week leading up to the draft. I'll have people come on. As long as it doesn't get out of control. That's the problem. I've done that in the past, and then it gets out of control, and you get repetitive things. Probably what I'll end up doing is I'll pick out like 4 subscribers, and we'll do like a round table. I'll do that a couple of times leading up into the draft. That's probably what I'll do. I don't think I'm going to have caller after caller after caller after caller because it gets out of control. But as far as the Giants, listen, I think our biggest strength is our coaching staff. I think our coaching staff is going to get a ton out of the talent on this roster, Tudo. It's what happened last year. I think it's only going to get even better this year, Tudo, with more familiarity with both schemes. So the coaching staff to me is the biggest positive to this team right now. And Deception, man, thank you very much. Hey, Chris, how would you feel about Wyatt Davis if he fell to us in the second? I think he's an ideal second-round pick. I would love Wyatt Davis in the second round. I don't know if he's going to be there. I actually talked about him in my, and this was more along the lines of if we traded down. But I in my first draft video that I did like a month ago, I like Wyatt Davis a lot. Most people have him as the best guard in this draft. I'm a big fan. I'd be happy if we got him in the second round. Caden, man, thank you very much, man. Should we have the center we signed from the Jets? We could have him play center and move Gates to guard. People have talked about that, Caden. I don't really view him. Bring Bangle. Evan Ingram, what's going on, my man? I wouldn't mind having Bangle on the channel. I wouldn't mind having Bangle on the channel. I'll reach out to him again. Caden says, should we have the center we signed from the Jets? We could have him play center and move Gates to guard. Yeah, Caden. People have talked about that, and maybe I'm wrong. I think that was more of a depth signing. I don't think they signed him with the intention of him to start at the center position. I could be wrong, but I don't think the plan with him going into the year is to be the starting center. I think he's more of a depth guy. I'd be surprised if he's going to end up starting. The other thing I'm going to say, and a couple of people have said this to me, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So, like, we talk about continuity all the time. And one of the biggest things with an offensive line is the center position. He's kind of the captain of the offensive line, but he's also the quarterback. It's very important for the quarterback to get accustomed to the snap. You know, you got your hand up the guy's butt all the time. It's important for the quarterback to get used to that. And I think that may take an adjustment period as well. Gates got used to playing that position. He played it well. Unless you're going to draft a high-end center like a Creed Humphrey, I don't see the need to move Nick Gates to the guard position this year. He performed relatively well at the center spot. I don't see the need to move him off of that. You want continuity. You want these guys to grow together. I thought he played well in that spot. I don't see the need to move him from it. But like I said, if you draft a center you're in love with, okay, but not for a guy like that. Clocks, man, thank you very much, man. In 7 and 11, we won with D-line. O-line, fook these receivers and tight ends. I want Hogs. We stink. O-line makes everyone better. Crack size matter. Clocks, man, you're a hot guy like me, man. And that is one thing, and I think we agree on a lot more than you may give us credit for. I think we actually are very like-minded in terms of how we want to build a football team. We just don't always agree on where the Giants are in the process. But I'm with you, man. I am always an offensive line guy. I think that's where, especially when you're a team like the Giants who are rebuilding, I think that's where it starts. I think that's where you have to, that's why I was happy with Gettleman when I heard the opening press conference. I'm not saying that he's hit on everything that he said, but the general philosophy, when you're rebuilding, you build up that foundation, you get that line good, situated, and you grow from there. So I'm with you on that. We need to continue to improve this offensive line. I'm definitely with you on that. Louie, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Have you seen Azeez Ojulari? Yes, I have. Really impressive edge rusher. Yes, I have. And he's a guy that a lot of people like in the mocks as well. I don't see the Giants taking him at 11, though. He's kind of going in more of the high teens, low 20s. But yes, I have seen him. If we traded down, I think he could be a possibility. But yes, I have seen him. A lot of people like him. Tudo, man, thank you very much. As Tane always says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Please don't touch the Giants D in order to cover holes in other faucets of the team. Forget about it. Listen, man, we're growing something. You want to keep it together. You don't want constant change. That's been one of the problems with this team over the last whatever amount of years. I mean, whether it's the coaching staff, whether it's the players, there's constant turnover. The general manager, obviously, we changed general manager 3 years ago. You need to keep this thing together. You need to let them continue to grow. That's always been my mentality. I think this year it comes to, we're going to get tested this year with the rebuild. This is a major test this year for the rebuild, and we need to see them continue to grow. You know, 2019, as much as some fans may not want to admit it, was the beginning of the rebuild. That was rock bottom. You drafted your quarterback. You replaced Eli Manning. 2020, we saw growth. Maybe not as much as we would have liked, but when you factor it in the hard schedule, the pandemic, everything else, we saw growth. 2021, we need to continue to see growth. We need to see a leap this year. We need that Miami Dolphins-like trajectory. It's kind of what I said last year with the Giants. Giants last year got off to a slow start, much like the Dolphins did in 2019, finished strong. Dolphins won 5 out of their last 8. They lost 8 out of their first 8. Ended up going 5 and 11. Giants went 6 and 10. Dolphins went into the next year. They built. Obviously, they brought in some free agent acquisitions, but you could certainly argue that the Giants have more talent on their 2020 roster than the Dolphins had on the 2019. So maybe it evens out. Also, they were starting Tua, a rookie quarterback, for like half the year. They ended up going 10 and 6. So I think it's entirely possible with the softer schedule, with more experience, that the Giants could have that kind of leap this year. And that's what we're going to need, my man. I'm not going to come out here and tell you we're going 12 and 4, 13 and 3, but we need to see growth this year. And Grim Man, thank you very much, man. He says, thank the leaked info about the Eagles rolling with Hurts could be smoke, so a team doesn't jump ahead at 6. They leaked Wentz's fake trade market too. Interesting. Listen, I hope they stick with Hurts. I think the Eagles right now, their best course of action. What's going on, Kevin? Man, thanks for popping in. I think the Eagles, their best course of action right now is to draft the quarterback. I think they're in rebuild mode. I think they have an opportunity to take one. I think they should. But if they roll with Hurts, I'll be very happy. And Kevin says, you got to pay by Tomlinson to show other guys in the locker room that if you buy and do things the right way, you will be rewarded. I will be upset if they bring back Tomlinson. I'll be happy if they bring back Tomlinson. I love Delvin Tomlinson. But you got to make tough decisions sometimes when you're the general manager. And if they pay him, I just hope that they have a plan to retain some of these other players on this roster, because you got to keep this thing together. But I would love to have Dalvin Tomlinson back. If there was no salary cap, I would love to have him back. I think he's very important to this team. And I hope they bring him back. I do. But let's put it this way. I would completely understand if they didn't. For some of the reasons that I've said. And Allison, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, Chris, predictions for winning the NFC East. And I see Alexis Texas. I guess you want me to acknowledge this, that the porn star, I'm assuming it's a porn star because I see it with the ass out. Alexis Texas has dropped me hearts and kissy faces. There you go. Hi, troll. Thank you for coming in with a porn star. I appreciate the visual. Thank you for showing me a nice ass. I appreciate that. Now you can go away. Allison, thank you very much. Hey, Chris, predictions for winning the NFC East. Again, it's very hard for me to predict who's going to win the NFC East right now until such time. James, man, have a great night, my man. Until such time, I know where we're going to be in terms of our roster, whether it be free agency, whether it be the draft. It's impossible for me to know that where we're going to be. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's Dallas. I think it's the Giants. I think it's Washington. And if I had to pick two teams that are going to be battling out, I think it'll be Dallas. I think it'll be the Giants. I think Washington is going to struggle more than people think because I don't think they're going to get their quarterback situation situated. That's my opinion on the entire situation. What's going on there, EJ Cool Man? Thanks for popping on the stream. What's going on there, George? George says, Tana, like the YouTube progression. Mike was a bit weird in the last two videos. Good in the third, last, and right now. Don't know if anyone mentioned. Yeah, I don't know. I got a new mic. So there you go. I'm working on it. I tinker with it. So I don't know. You know, I didn't change anything from one video to the next. Maybe I accidentally moved the volume knob. It's possible. But to my knowledge, I didn't change anything. So I don't know why it sounded different, but I'll continue to tinker with it and try to work on it. And Simon says, Chris, I feel like drafting our number one receiver might take us out of contention to be competitive over taking Galladay. I feel like drafting our number one receiver might take us out of contention. So Simon, basically, if I'm gathering this properly, you're basically saying you think we'd be more competitive if we signed Galladay and drafted something else in the first round. I think that's what you're saying. And if that is what you're saying, what I'll say is Galladay's more of a proven commodity. You know what you're getting. You never know what you're going to get in the first round with a wide receiver. So if that's what you're saying, you can make that argument. But then what I'll say to you is, do you have a magic wand? Do you think that you could convince Galladay to sign here over 12 other teams that are going to be offering him contracts? But yeah, I mean, it would be nice. It would be nice to have a proven commodity. I'll agree with you on that. But even if we want to get him, it doesn't mean he's going to want to come here. What's going on there, LA Sportsman? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. And Michael says, Chris, do you think Leo plays on the franchise tag, or do we think we extend him before the year? I think in the end, we're going to end up extending him. I'll put it this, Michael. What I'm going to say, Michael, I think it's more probable that we trade him than he plays on the tag. I think by far the most probable thing is we extend him. But I think it's more probable that we tag and trade him than he plays on the tag. I would be very surprised if Leonard Williams is playing on the tag at the start of the season. I think the tag is being used as a tool to further prolong negotiations. And they didn't want other teams to have the ability to drive up the market on him, which was a smart move by the New York Giants. Leonard Williams may not like it, but it's a smart move by the New York Giants. Now they are the only team that can negotiate with him. And at the end of the day, ultimately, if Leonard Williams doesn't want to be here and he's going to complain, trade him. That's where the Giants are right now. Trade him. If he's going to be a pain in the ass, trade him. I think the Giants did the right thing by franchise tagging him. It leaves everything open. I already answered that C4 Taylor, but I think he'd be worth a second-round pick. I think Leonard Williams would be worth a second-round pick. Let me put this on the charger right now since this died, and it seems like this chat just always skips when I'm not looking on the phone, so it's much easier for me to follow on the phone. And Jeremy says, I think we should get Galladay, and then in the draft, we get Waddle and Pat Freiermuth. That would solve our receiver problems. Yeah, see, I understand where you're coming. I know a lot of people think like you do. Like, just get the weapons, get it done with this year. I think that's overkill. I think we have other needs on this team. If we sign Galladay, That's $20 million at the wide receiver spot. You're paying him to be the number one. And at that point, you have Shepard. Shepard's definitely a very solid, I think, number two. And Slayton and Ingram and Barkley. And the other thing I want to say is getting a guy like Golladay, and I'm not saying don't draft another wide receiver. I just wouldn't take one in the first. But getting a guy like Golladay should improve every other weapon. That's the way I look at it. So I am not doubling. If I'm spending $20 million on wide receiver for agency, I am not drafting a wide receiver in the first round. Now, for the people that want Waddle, for the people that want Chase, for the people that want Smith, you should be happy because I don't think we're getting Kenny Golladay. And in the end, I think we're going to draft a wide receiver in the first round. I do not think we will address our primary wide receiver problem in free agency this year. Zahai, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. He says, what's going on, man? Hopo as well. What do you think about Robert Sale, an offensive line coach, and how will it affect the line and who in the draft, second round, and the O-line are potential or with the pick? Okay, Robert Sale, I love when I did research into Robert Sale, I love the acquisition. I think he fits the mentality of this team. He's a run-heavy approach. Now, the Giants are definitely going to try to throw the ball down the field more this year, but I still think, especially bringing him in, you look at the team he coached run the ball more than anybody in the nation, or they were up there every year. He was the offensive play caller. He was the offensive line coach. I think that's what he's going to bring to this team. I think it's a good fit. He has ties to Judge, and he's a former offensive coordinator. So you would think he'd be able to add things, in terms of speaking his mind about the offense and his opinion on things. He's not strictly an offensive line coach. So I really like that acquisition. I think it was a good acquisition. I think he broke records in terms of the run game as the offensive line coach. They had offensive linemen that got drafted in the second and third round at his college. So I like that acquisition. I think it was a very good acquisition for the New York Giants for the coaching staff. In terms of the there was a number of players. Wyatt Davis is a guy I've talked about a lot as a guard that I think is a possibility. Vera Tucker, I don't think he's ever going to get there. There's a number of tackles they could take. We're going to talk about him more as we do the mock drafts. But Wyatt Davis, I guess, if I have to pick a guard in the second round that right now in my eye, if he could potentially be there. But a guard in general is what I'm looking at in the second round. That right now, if we're cutting Zeitler, and I'm assuming we are, we might not. I'm looking at a guard right now in the second round, or center, Creed Humphrey. I'm looking at an interior offensive lineman in the second round. That's what I'm looking at right now. Tudo, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, all Giants 2021 calendar opposing teams should call Faruqi and Faruqi. Injury hotline before the season starts because they are about to get hurt really bad. Tudo does a great job of always pointing out the sponsor, the official sponsor of the channel. Listen, Dallas Cowboys fans, you need an injury attorney? Right here, buddy. We're going to be kicking your ass this year. Call the Eagles players because they're going to need injury attorneys. What's going on there, Louie? Louie, man, nice popping on the stream. What's going on there? Nick the Wick. Terrace Marshall. Yeah, he's, I think it's Terrace. Maybe it's Terrence. I thought it was Terrace, but maybe it is Terrence. He's a guy I really like, too. He's tall. He's a potential second-round target, I think. Probably second. He's 6'4", I think. He's definitely an option later in the draft if the New York Giants do not select the first-round wide receiver. Definitely got to keep your eye on for sure. He's a guy that a lot of my subscribers have brought up. What's going on there, Sean G, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Patrick Graham says, how long do we have till we can extend him? Who are you talking about? Leonard Williams? Or extend you? Because, Pat, I'm going to tell you right now, Pat, I am willing to give you a lifetime extension with the New York Giants. We absolutely love you. We need you here, Pat. Do not leave, Pat. But no. In terms of Leonard Williams, they have it till, I think it's July 15th. It's late. It is late. They have until to negotiate this contract to get him an extension before the year starts. It's very late in the process. Definitely after the draft. But I would think if you're the Giants and you want to extend this guy, you want to get it done before the draft. Because if things are sketchy and you're not sure if you're going to be able to get it done and he's not going to be happy, you would look to trade him before the draft. So you get draft compensation in this year's draft to be able to help your team this year. So I would think, even though the deadline, I think, is in July, if you're the Giants, Pat, and Pat, you know this better than me, you coach for them, I would think that you'd want to get that deal done sooner than later. And preferably before free agency so you could structure that contract in a way that maybe you could go out there and make a somewhat impactful signing for the team. So the sooner the better if they're going to get the extension done. But definitely I would prefer it to be before the draft. I missed one. I don't like missing super chats. Hold on. I'm coming. Who did I miss? But I got Tudo. Oh, yeah, I did. Sorry, guys. Usually I'm on the phone, so it's easier for me to keep up with it. Diehard Giants fan, man. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. I think that's a different Diehard Giants fan. He says, we need to get rid of Freddie Kitchens before he's our OC. You don't like Freddie Kitchens? All right, here's the thing with Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens, I actually thought, did a pretty good job as the OC for the Cleveland Browns. And I know he wasn't initially brought in there to be the OC, and he failed miserably as a head coach. But I honestly don't think Kitchens is going anywhere. Kitchens has strong ties to Joe Judge. They're very good friends. And I do think it's entirely possible he could be the future offensive coordinator. He got the offensive coordinator assistant job this year. We'll see. But Kitchens actually, in terms of a play caller, it's why he became the head coach and then obviously failed miserably with the Cleveland Browns. But it's why he got the head coaching position. He actually did a really good job, or at least people said he did, with the Cleveland Browns. And I remember I did a video on this, and when you look at the difference in the effectiveness of the offense from when Kitchen stepped in, like after Hugh Jackson got fired and the offensive coordinator, and then he got promoted to the play caller, the jump that offensive had was massive in terms of big plays. I think they were like dead last in the league, and they were like second for the second half of the year with him calling. Like it was a massive leap. He actually did a good job as the offensive coordinator with Cleveland that year. It's why he got the promotion. But I don't know. I'm not against it. I don't be our head coach. But if Judge believes in him, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. Big Bang, man. Thank you very much, man. Hey, Chris, ain't been around in a while. Which one of our wide receivers? I hope at Big Bang, you're the man. I've seen your dad in here as well, Mango. You guys are both great supporters. I appreciate everything you do for the channel. He says, hey, Chris, ain't been around in a while. Which one of the wide receivers you're hoping for? I mean, in an ideal world, I'm hoping for Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in this draft. Jamar Chase, but do I think Chase will be there? Probably not. The other thing I want to bring up, Big Bang, and I said it today on Twitter. One thing I think a lot of people aren't thinking about, when I heard the news that the Giants and the Dolphins, at least according to CBS Sports, are the two teams that they think will be in on Kenny Golladay, and I said to myself, well, what if the Dolphins got him? What if the Giants missed out on Kenny Golladay and the Dolphins got him? Because right now, as Giants fans, you're hoping a wide receiver falls to us at 11. And the Dolphins are one of the teams you're scared could take a wide receiver. So if the Dolphins were to sign Kenny Golladay, well, they're not taking a wide receiver at number 3. And then at that point, I don't think there's any wide receivers going in the top 5. Then you see what the Eagles do at 6. They could take one. They could pass. Of course, the Lions could take a wide receiver. They lost Kenny Golladay, but they were always going to lose Kenny Golladay, so that didn't change anything. I was always under the assumption they were going to tag and trade him. But if the Dolphins get a wide receiver, that's one less team that could take one. So that may actually benefit us in a way in the draft. But Jamar Chase would be my number one option, no doubt about it, at the wide receiver position. And I slightly have Waddle above Smith, but I like both of them a lot. But I would slightly have Waddle above Smith. Hot Nichols, man, thank you very much, man. He says, what's good, E? Do you think Golladay would want to come here? What precautions can Saquon's coaching staff make to keep him healthy? When are you and Bando going live again? We got to talk about that. Actually, I think we did. I think it's going to be Saturday. I got to look at the Knicks schedule. I think the Knicks play Thursday night or the Lakers play Thursday night, one or the other, so we couldn't do it that night. I think Saturday was the one day that we could do it. The Knicks play, but they play a day game, so I'm going to stream the Knicks game, and then at night we're going to do the Giants show. I'm almost positive we're going to do it on Saturday. It's going to be here. The following week it'll be over there. As far as Golladay, do I think he'll want to come here? I think he's going to want to come to whoever offers him the most money, and then when the money is equal, if it is, I think he's going to want to go to the team that he thinks best fits his skill set. The one thing I'll say about Golladay, I do think this scheme fits him very well. It's why I think the Giants had interest in him. I think he'd fit beautifully in the Air Coryell. So if he looks at it from that standpoint, maybe he says, yeah, this scheme really fits what I'm looking to do. I'd put up numbers there. I'd definitely be the number one option. But then you got to worry. You're talking about trying to attract a guy to go to an offense that ranked 31st in the league last year with a quarterback that threw 11 touchdowns. As much as we may like Daniel Jones, I don't know if you do or not, but he may not be the most attractive as of now to pending free agents. But I do think the scheme actually fits him very well. I think he'd fit here well. I think it's why the Giants had interest in trading for him. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like any free agent, it's going to come down to whoever offers him the most money. And if the Giants do, they'll be in on him. But they're going to have to offer a lot if they want him. You're talking probably $19 million a year on a 4 or 5 year contract. You're talking he's going to get paid, man. He's going to get paid because he is the best free agent available. He's going to get paid. But thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. And Bear, my man, what's going on? He says, realistically, What do you think of us trading back and getting more picks? Maybe if a team needs a quarterback ahead of us. Yeah, I've talked about, listen, I am always, I think the best team, like you look at the New England Patriots, Bear, they were infamous for doing that. The New England Patriots, every year, for about an 8-9 year period, you could count on them. And that's where Judge is coming from. Everybody says Gettleman doesn't trade down, but people also say Judge has a big influence. Well, Judge is coming from the Bill Belichick school of thought. You think about those New England Patriots back in the day, every year they would trade down. They'd never have a first-round pick. They just keep getting more and more draft capital. So I'm not going to rule it out. Like if the right deal presented itself, sure, we could be open to trading down. But I think for us to be a likely trade destination, I think one of the top 4 quarterbacks probably have to fall to 11 because generally when you're trading up in the first round, that's usually what you're trading up for, a quarterback. And then you go back to the potential teams that could be trading up, and it would make sense in that spot, depending on what happens with the 49ers before the draft, because they could very well take a quarterback at 12. So a team like New England, if they need a quarterback, a team like Washington, even though we'd never trade with them, a team like the Bears, they may say, all right, let's jump the 49ers. Let's get our quarterback at number 11. So I do think it's a possibility. Now, in terms of whether or not I'd be willing to do it. And at that point, you could trade back. You could take a guy like Bateman. You could take an offensive lineman. You could take a corner. Obviously, it's got to be worth trading back, and it depends on who's there at number 11. If you're in love with the prospect at number 11, you stay there, you take your prospect. But if you're not, yeah, you have to be open to trading down and filling in some other holes that way and getting future draft capital. But again, I think for it to be a very desirable trade destination, I think a quarterback is more than likely going to have to be there. So that's my answer to that. And Prince, man, thank you very much. He says, if we miss wide receiver in free agency and no wide receivers fall, we're screwed. We're not going to be happy. Prince, I don't even want to imagine, Prince, me and Bad Dog streaming on draft night and that happens. Like, I can't even imagine what the chat would be like. But what I will say, Prince, I could confidently say I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think 3 wide receivers are going to go in the first 10 picks. And if you include Kyle Pitts, I don't think 4 weapons are going to go in the first 10 picks. I really don't, especially with all the quarterbacks that could be going in the top 10. There's very talented corners. There's talented linebackers. There's talented offensive tackles. I would be very surprised if all those weapons went in the first 10 picks. I do think one of them will fall to us. The question is, will we take them? But I do think we'll have the option to take one of these wide receivers. But Prince, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. And Tudo, man, he says, Faruqi legal team. Also, we'll provide all Giants 2021 opposing teams injured players with wheelchairs and crutches for a better customer service. Tudo, I appreciate it, man. Hey, if you guys haven't done so, check out the official sponsor of the channel, Faruqi and Faruqi Personal Injury Lawyers. Tudo, man, I can't say thank you enough, man, for all the love you always show the channel. You don't need to do that. And you always make it a point for me to have to point out the sponsor. But they do help out the channel. So I really appreciate that, Tudo. Mr. Lilly from across the pond. He says, Pitts and all wide receivers could be gone by 11. Looking at the draft, Dallas will take one to stop the Giants and Miami and the Falcons and the Lions all. I'll tell you what right now, Mr. Lilly. If Dallas takes a wide receiver this year, they're ridiculous. They're dumb. Why would they take a wide receiver? You've got Michael Gallup, and I know they'll probably lose Gallup the following year. But you've just tied up all that money to Dak Prescott. You've got Michael Gallup. You've got a deteriorating offensive line. You've got nobody on defense. I can't see Dallas not taking a corner or not taking a tackle. That's the only 2 positions I could see them taking. Or maybe, no, I think that's it. I think it's a corner or a tackle. I don't think they do anything else. I'd be shocked if they went anywhere else. I think that's where they have to go. I think they need to pay attention on that defensive side of the ball. They just drafted CeeDee Lamb last year when they didn't even need wide receivers. I don't see it. I'd be shocked beyond belief. They will not take a wide receiver. Take that to the bank. I don't think so. Grim, man, thank you very much. He says, Van Noy, Leonard Floyd, or Hassan Reddick preference. I wouldn't be upset with any one of those 3. I think Reddick Reddick and Floyd probably have more upside than Van Noy. Van Noy is probably a safer guy to bring in here. Of course, depending on the contract and the length of the contract, I think Van Noy, you pretty much know what you're getting. You're getting a veteran presence. You're getting a smart football player. You're getting a guy that's somewhat familiar with what we're trying to do. With a guy like Reddick, I do think he fits the scheme. And last year, he had 12.5 sacks. Of course, 5 came against us. He only has 20 sacks for his career. But from what I heard and read, they felt like that they weren't using him properly there in Arizona. This year, they used him pretty much exclusively as an edge rusher, and he had a really good year. So I'd be happy with Reddick. I think he fits the scheme. I think he's got some upside. If I had to pick one, I think Van Noy's the safest. If all money is equal and all lengths of contract are equal, I'd probably take Van Noy, but I wouldn't be upset with any one of those guys for the right deal, of course, but I wouldn't be upset with any of them. Kevin, man, thank you very much, man. I'm a Jersey guy, but we'll be on Long Island tomorrow. Any good delis? Oh, God. I don't know where on Long Island you're going to be. There are a ton of great delis on Long Island, ton of great diners. I know Jersey typically is known for great diners. Long Island, in my opinion, and again, I'm biased because I'm from Long Island, but Long Island has a reputation for having like the best diners in the country. So you may want to check out a diner as well. But in terms of sandwich places, what is the name of it? There is a infamous sandwich place in, oh my God, somebody in the chat may know. I think it's in like Hempstead, but it's got like it's got like these insane sandwiches. I can't remember the name of the place though. When I used to be a cable technician, I used to go there all the time when I worked on Long Island, but I can't remember the name of the place. In terms of a deli near where I live, Sequa Deli is phenomenal. That's in like the North Massapequa Park area. I don't know if you're going to be in that area. That's a great spot to check out for sure. That's a pretty famous deli, Sequa Deli. You also have the deli across from the Nassau Coliseum. I can't remember the name of it. It might be Coliseum Deli, but it's right across from the Nassau Coliseum. It's next to the Chipotle. There's a McDonald's on the corner. That's a really good deli on Long Island as well. That's in the Hempstead area. So there's a couple places for you there, Kevin, if you want to check it out. But thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it, buddy. And I hope I didn't miss anybody. Ian, man, thank you very much. He says, some people think we should cut Peppers. I like Peppers. He's young and plays hard. Great for our defense. Ian, I don't understand why people want to cut Peppers. And, well, no, I'll be fair. We signed Logan Ryan, so people look at it like, how are you going to be able to pay Peppers? But I think what people are failing to realize is we structure that Ryan deal to be able to get out after 2 years. So he's gone after 2 years. I don't think he sees the third year of that contract. It's no dead cap it. We structured it to be able to get out after 2. I think it's a seamless transition. I think you could structure the Peppers deal so that maybe it doesn't take up near as much on the first year as it will the next year and the third year after that. I think they're going to have the ability to extend Peppers. I think Peppers is like we talk about guys that fit this defense perfectly. He may be the best fit. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's incredibly versatile. You want to talk about a guy that took a major step up last year, a guy that thrived in this defense. It's Peppers. Peppers over the second half of the season was phenomenal. He played at a Pro Bowl level. So I think they're going to keep Peppers. I think they like Peppers. They made him a captain. I think he's in the plans, and it's why I go back to saying if we sign Dalvin, I worry about having to sacrifice Peppers next year. And that is why I personally would rather have Peppers. So that's my thinking, players like that. But I do think Peppers will be here. I'd be surprised if he's not. Of course, things could change. He may get hurt. He may have a bad year. But I do think Peppers is going to be in the long-term plans for the Giants. Again, if Gettleman's here, you talk about Gettleman guys. Think about it. Gettleman traded for Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is coming back. Gettleman traded for Peppers. Peppers probably coming back. He's obviously a guy that Gettleman liked. And again, he's one of the guys I think best fit this scheme. So I see no reason if they could get the contract at an appropriate number not to try to bring him back. Mark, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, in your gut feeling, who will we pick at 11? Oh, let me feel my gut right now. I'm going to stick with what I've said, and this may change after free agency, but I've only done one mock draft, and I haven't really changed my opinion. I'm going Devontae Smith, and I know some people may disagree with me, and I know some people may call me crazy. People think he's going top 3, top 5, top 7. I think Devontae Smith gets to us at 11, and I think we take him. That's what my gut's telling me right now. I think Devontae Smith. But we'll see. I could be completely wrong. It's just throwing darts at the board. But right now, I'm leaning Devontae Smith. Mark. And let's see what we got. Luke Dog, man, thank you very much. He says, for this offseason, what's your dream scenario? My dream scenario is to, sign Leo, get a fair deal, 4 years, $76 million, $74 million, $72 million, in that range with the ability to get out after 3, because at this point, that's what we're looking at. So get that done with. Don't kill yourself with like a $22 million a year contract. Get that done with. Go out there, sign a cornerback too. I'm not going to give you a name. There's too many names out there. Go out there, sign yourself a stable cornerback too. Get him on a fair salary. Also, get some offensive line depth in free agency. That's what I'm looking at. You do those things, maybe add another small piece, some depth to this roster. Bring Gallman back. You get Gallman back on a fair salary. Something like that. Fill in the holes on this roster. Get yourself a starting cornerback. Get your backup running back. Maybe get a solid backup quarterback. Little things like that. Nothing crazy. And then you go out there, you hit offense hard in the first 2 rounds of this draft with a nice wide receiver. One of the top guys fall to us, hopefully Jamar Chase. And then you get yourself a really nice guard in the second round. They do those things. I'll be very happy with this offseason if they're able to do those things. I think that's a real, you say dream, but when you say dream, I try to stay realistic within my dreams. And I think that's a realistic plan that I could see happening that I'd be very happy with if those things happen. And Leontre, man, thank you very much, man. Stand up, new member. Welcome to the squad, my man. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you to everybody for all the support, man. Love talking Giants. I appreciate everybody for being here. AP says, what if it's like 2020 where Chase falls to Dallas? AP, if I don't think they could take him. Even if Jamar Chase fell to Dallas, I don't think they could take him. Now, what Dallas could do is trade down. That's possible. That's something I could see. If Dallas is at 10 and Jamar Chase falls and there's a team behind us that really wants him, that I could see. I can't see Dallas taking him. I could see him trading down, though, if Jamar Chase fell there. But I'd be shocked if they took Jamar Chase. Shocked. Rafael, man, thank you very much, man. Just rewatched Super Bowl 55. Mahomes was alone out there. Rafael, that game, and I said it on Twitter right after the game, and so did several other Giants fans. If that game didn't show you that the offensive line means a ton, then you don't know football. You don't know football. And, I the first thing I said after the game, Rafael, was, well, now Chiefs fans know what we felt like for 10 years with Eli Manning. Now Pat Mahomes knows what it feels like to be Eli Manning for the second half of his career. Everybody always blamed Eli because it was the easy target. And I'm not saying Eli didn't regress the last couple of years of his career, but the primary problem was always the offensive line. And and the quarterback takes the blame. I get it. And he gets more credit than he deserves. He gets more blame than he deserves. But the offensive line was always the major problem with the New York Giants. It was never mainly Eli Manning. And in that game, you saw it. You have the most talented quarterback on the planet. They couldn't block. The offense couldn't do shit. You can't block. You can't move the football, period. And the trenches is where it starts, man. That's my opinion. Maybe that's old school, but I think it's common sense. I think it's common sense. I think the game is won and lost in the trenches. But thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. And MYG coverage, man. Thank you very much. Hey, Chris, I've heard from a source that the Giants have a 60-40 chance of landing Golladay. Giants and Golladay have mutual interest in one another. MYG coverage. Message me on Twitter if you can, or Instagram. I don't really use Instagram that much, though. So if you have a Twitter, message me on Twitter. Let me know your source. And if it's legitimate, maybe I'll talk about it. But that's interesting. I never know who to trust, though, on Twitter and things like that, because everybody says, I got a source on Twitter. And not, I said it in the stream with Bad Dog the other day. You'll go on YouTube, you'll go on Twitter, you'll go on Instagram. Everybody's got a source. And I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying, I don't know. It's hard to believe some of the things that you hear, but I'm definitely willing to listen. And I've talked to people in the past. I don't know if he's still in here. Johnny's come to me before. I'm gonna give him credit. I don't know if he's still in here. He's come to me with sources before, and he's been right. I have not dropped it on YouTube because it's private conversation. He told me Logan Ryan. He has a friend that he knows that has conversation with the New York Giants. He told me Logan Ryan was signing with the New York Giants a month before he did. He told me something else too. He told me Marcus Golden. He told me we were getting Marcus Golden about trading Marcus Golden rather to the Arizona Cardinals about 2 weeks before we did. I don't know if he told me Arizona Cardinals, but he told me we're trading Marcus Golden. And he told me something about the salary cap, which I'm not going to drop, but I'm curious to see if he's right. But I'll definitely willing to listen to you, man. And Leontre says, you didn't talk about the Kyle O'Brien hire. Yeah, to be honest with you, Leontre, I've been so busy with all the news dropping. I obviously know about the hire. I haven't done a ton of research, but what I will do for my next stream, I'm going to do some research on him so I am better educated. I don't want to bullshit you guys. I've been so busy with all the other news that's been coming out that I was actually going to make a video on that. And then all the news started dropping with Dak and with this and with that. Yeah, you're right. I should have made a video on that, and I regret not doing it. But I will do some research on him. I'm not going to do a video on him at this point because it's old news. But next stream, I will give you my opinion on the hire and better familiarize myself with his background. But yeah, I did hear about the hire. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And NY Giants 26, man. Thank you very much. Chris, you remember Jake? Yes, I do. Had the pick against the Jets. He went to my high school. I met him, and he comes to my JV practice. He's good. Wow, that's awesome, man. He was the guy. Wasn't he the guy that he had the scoop and score in a preseason game, right? A couple of years ago. He was a defensive end. I don't think he ever made the 53-man roster, but yeah, I remember him. He scored a defensive touchdown, I think, in one of the preseason games. A lot of people were rooting for him to make the team, but yeah, I remember him. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, we're caught up. And let me get my phone out. Like I always say, I like to look at the phone. It's so much easier for me. I finally got a little bit of a charge, so I'll look at the phone as I'm talking to you guys in the chat. 1 second. Entertainer Q1A. And it's taking forever to load. So let me look here, man. What's going on there, Johnny Kelly, man? What's going on there? Vincent, man, thanks. There we go. What's going on there, Vincent, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Carlock went to LIU. I did not know that. That I did not know. I did not know that he went to LIU. I was not aware of that, but I do remember him in the preseason games. Riley, man, thank you very much, man. He says, I'm hyped for MLB season. Been boring since week 17. Riley, well, this is when football heats up for me. You know, when the offseason really starts to get going. And it's not just for the Giants. Like, I'm excited and interested to see where all the high-profile players go in our division as well. You want to see how the Cowboys, the Eagles, even though the Eagles ain't building shit, but the Cowboys, the Eagles watching how they're going to build their team. So this is a really fun time for the next 2 months now for the NFL. But I'm with you. I'm a big baseball guy. You know that, Riley. I am super excited about the Mets. Matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a live stream on my Mets channel. What do you say? It was going to be tonight, but the Leonard Williams stuff came out. So I told him, let's back it up a couple of days because I wanted to talk about this with you guys. I think we're going to do it in 2 days. I think tomorrow we couldn't do it. So we're going to do it in 2 days. But yeah, we're going to start talking baseball on the other channel. I'm super excited about baseball. I can't wait. What's going on, New York Finest, man? Thanks for popping in, man. Do you think there's a chance that Logan Ryan goes back to corner? I do not. People have brought that up as a possibility. I do not. Ryan came here with the expectations that he wasn't going to play corner. He even came out and said that he felt like he was better situated to play either a slot corner or a safety position at this point in his career because he lost the step. I don't expect that. I think the Giants, a lot of people look at that and they're like, well, why would you bring him back? You have 2 other safeties. Giants are going to have 3 safety looks. They're going to be putting Peppers in the box. They're going to be moving these guys around. We all know that Patrick Graham comes with a different type of defense. They're going to get creative. He'll be on the field, but no, I do not think he'll be on the opposite side. If anybody on this team wins that, I would think it'd be Love, but I still think we're going to sign a more established corner in free agency. I could be wrong, but that's what I think will happen. May not, but that's what I think will happen. And New Jersey Jake says, don't listen to the smoke from Howie. Lance is still very much at play at number 6. Thank God they're taking a wide receiver and going to the future with Hurts. Who cares who the wide receiver is if Hurts is the quarterback? What's up, Jake, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Can I make I would definitely work with JC. I haven't talked to him in a bit, but I would definitely work with JC. Leonard, man, thank you very much, man. Williams, 3 years, $63 million. Tomlinson, 3 years, $33 million. If they get both those done, I'll be ecstatic. If you could sign both, my only hesitation to sign Dalvin with signing Williams is because of a long commitment. But if you could get both of them for 3-year commitments, I'll sign up for that right now. You get both of them on 3-year commitments, I sign up for that right now. It gives you flexibility after 2 years to get out if you need to extend other players on your team. I would love it if they could do that. The problem is I don't see them do. I mean, maybe Dalvin. I don't see Leo doing it. Leo knows he's got the Giants by the balls. He knows he's got a guaranteed $20 million now. And he knows if he signs a 3-year deal, it's really only a 2-year deal. So I don't see his agent being like, yeah, you should do that. I just don't. If I'm his agent, I tell him you're better off just playing on the 1-year franchise tag, fully guaranteed $20 million, and then you hit free agency and you get a 5-year contract with another team if you play really well. So I would love it to get both those guys at 3-year deals. I just don't think it's going to happen. And JB12, man, thank you very much, man. What is your perfect offseason plan? I would love Malcolm Butler. My perfect offseason plan, somebody actually just brought that up to me, but realistically speaking, it's just to fill in holes. It's to bring Leonard Williams back at this point, get the contract extension done, get a cornerback too, maybe Malcolm Butler. I'm not going to give you names, but get a cornerback too. and fill out the roster that way. Little pieces. Bring back Wayne Gallman on a cheap contract. Maybe get a cost-effective wide receiver. Depth on the offensive line in free agency, and then attack offense heavily in the draft in the first 2 rounds with a premium wide receiver and an interior offensive lineman. That would be an offseason that I'd be very happy with at this point in time. I know most people will say their dream offseason is Kenny Golladay, but I'm trying to be more realistic. I don't think that's going to happen. So in a fantasy land, sure, Kenny Golladay, but I don't think we're getting him. So in more of a realistic line of thinking, what I told you would be my dream offseason at this point in time. What are your thoughts on the Giants in trading Hernandez? What are your thoughts on the rumors Giants trading Hernandez to the Giants? I think you mean from the Giants, Ethan. That's what I'd imagine that you mean. I have not heard any rumors about the Giants trading away Will Hernandez. And I don't think that's going to happen, especially if you're cutting Kevin Zeitler. I don't see how you could trade Will Hernandez. There is no way that's going to happen. What's up there, Eric Mannix popping the stream? What up, Chris? Hyped to get the offseason going. You and me both, man. I saw the news come out today. I said, I got to go live. Like I said, I was going to go live on my Mets channel today. And I said, I got to go live. I got to talk with you guys about Leonard Williams. I got the offseason juices flowing. And I love talking Giants, man. I love talking Giants with all you guys. And we're going to be live a lot more. As free agency approach, I'm going to be live all day, the day of free agency. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of news coming out. And it's going to be a lot of fun doing mock drafts with you guys live. I love this part of the offseason. It's so much fun. But I appreciate you being here, buddy. Zahai, man, thank you very much. He says, I think the secondary helped the front line get pressure and sacks last offseason. That's one thing I meant to talk about at the top of the stream. I briefly mentioned it. Let me read the rest of the super chat. I like the philosophy of using a solid back end to help out the front seven, though I understand the other side of the argument too. Cornerback better than Dia. In this scheme, and I've been pretty consistent with this, Zahib. In this scheme, I agree with you. I think it's coverage over edge rushers. That's my honest opinion. I think it's coverage over edge rushers. And judge today, and it's why I do not think the New York Giants are going to prioritize an edge rusher, whether it be free agency or whether it be the draft. It's why I do not think the New York Giants are going to prioritize an edge rusher. When Joe Judge was asked specifically about the edge rusher position, he said, well, I think it's more of a team thing. I think, if you're good in coverage, if you could get pressure up the middle, it could create sack opportunities. So, and that's always been their mindset. They're coming from the New England school of thought. The New England Patriots have never drafted a premium edge rusher. You think about their team, they built around coverage. They built Vince Wilforks of the world. They built around the hogs up the middle, similar to what Gettleman's tried to do since he's been here. That's what I think their philosophy is. I don't see them prioritizing an edge rusher. I know people have talked about Greg Rousseau, players like that. I could be wrong. That's my feel on the team. I do not think we're going to draft the first round edge rusher. I'm not telling you, like, if Chase Young was there, sure, that's a generational player. But I think they're the type of team that's going to try to find guys that could fit their scheme, and they probably feel like they could get better value at that position later in the draft. I think they're going to put a premium on the cornerback and things like that. Scotty H wrote Mets channel and all that. Yeah, Mets channel. I love the Mets, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it, my man. And Sam says, what about a pass rusher? Great show. Keep it up. I appreciate that, Sam. Like I said, if we get a pass rusher, I think it'll be value. I don't think they're going to sign a premium pass rusher. Van Noy, I think that's the type of player. Someone like that. I don't think they're going out there and getting Shaq Barrett. I don't think they're going out there and drafting a first round edge rusher. I just don't. I don't think that's the scheme. What's going on there? Griffin Man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. And Carlos says, what's your least favorite realistic pick at 11? My least favorite realistic pick. I mean, all the realistic picks I'm relatively happy with. Like any one of the wide receivers, I'm happy. Pitts, I'm fine with. I'd be okay with the corners. But the only thing that would really make me unhappy on draft night, realistically speaking, is if we reached on a wide receiver. If we took Rashad Bateman. If we reached on a wide receiver. I think that's my answer. Or if we reached on like J.C. Horn, who I think fits our scheme well. But I think that's my answer. Like a reach at the cornerback or the wide receiver spot. I'm not going to be upset with Caleb Farley. I'm not going to be upset with Patrick Surtain. I'm not going to be upset with Micah Parsons. I'm not going to be upset with Rashawn Slater. But like a reach at a wide receiver position, that probably would make me upset. Rousseau, that's a good one. I just don't think we're drafting him. But yeah, Rousseau would piss me off. What's going on there, Pasha, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. And Zuhaib says, I want to think a bit out of the box. What do you think about trading Peppers? I don't want to trade Peppers. I want to keep Peppers, man. I want to keep Peppers. And I get where you're going with that, Zahai, because we signed Ryan. You drafted McKinney. You probably feel like, well, we got 2 safeties. We could trade Peppers. Maybe you get a wide receiver that way, or you get draft capital where you could draft a wide receiver. I get where you're going. It's definitely out of the box thinking. It's creativity. I don't want to trade Peppers. I think Peppers fits this defense beautifully. Like the 3 players on this team, when healthy, that I think really fit this scheme, I think it's him, I think it's Leonard Williams, and I think it's Lorenzo Carter. I think they all fit it very well. We don't know what we're going to have with Lorenzo Carter coming off the injury, but I'm a big fan of Peppers in this defense. I don't want to trade Peppers. I really don't want to trade Peppers, man. What's going on there, MH, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. And Kevin says Bateman will be a good wide receiver. I like Bateman. I just don't want to take him at 11. I like Bateman. If we trade down, I'd be completely fine with it. I don't want to take him at 11. What's up there, Crowls, man? Thanks for popping in. He says, man, what's up, Dana? When are we going to be good? Hopefully next year. William says, why would Rousseau piss you off? He's got Strahan-like frame. Listen, I don't know if pissed off is the right word. Like, I would understand if we took Rousseau. If you're taking Rousseau, you're swinging for the fences. You're taking a prospect with very high upside. And the book on him is he sat out a year and he's not the most technically skilled player. But the reason why I'm not in love with taking Rousseau, and I don't know if you just tuned into the stream, William, the reason I'm not in love with taking Rousseau is because of what I think is more important in the type of defense that we run. And I'm not saying edge rushers aren't important, but this is a defense, in my opinion, that generates pressure through coverage, through blitzing, through good interior pressure up the middle. I think they are going to prioritize strong corners, versatile safeties, versatile linebackers, guys that could drop back in coverage. I think that's the type of defense that we run. Pissed off's not the right word. I fully recognize Rousseau's got very high upside, and he could be good. I'd be surprised if we take him. And it would not be my ideal pick. And Freddie, man, thank you very much, man. OBJ back to the Giants. He's working out with Saquon. No. No. I know everybody likes to bring up OBJ, and I get it. And people love OBJ, and I completely understand it. And he's a fan favorite. And a lot of people started watching the Giants, especially probably from overseas and younger generations, due to the fact that OBJ was on the team. He was an exciting player, the one-handed catch. We know all about it. Great wide receiver. No. That ship has sailed. I want to draft the next OBJ. I don't want to pay a premium to trade for OBJ coming off an injury when he's making the money that he makes to bring on the roster, not to mention the baggage that he carries and everything else. I don't see Gettleman trading for him. I don't see the Browns trading him back to the Giants. I just don't think it'll happen. And I just don't think it's a good idea. And I know that's the one guy. I've never seen a player for any team that I root for that fans are still connected to this guy strongly as they are. A guy that's been off the team for the last 3 or 4 years. And I get it. I think a lot of people started watching the Giants due to him. But I think that ship has sailed, man. JP12, man. Shit. Oh, God. Where? I don't know where the mods. They might be in another stream. I don't know. Somebody said where are the mods. I don't know where they are. Oh, Noah says, shut up, Goomba. Okay. You're blocked. And JB12 says, what part of the O-line do you think we need to strengthen? I think we need to strengthen the interior part of the offensive line, more so than anything else. Obviously, the tackles need to improve. Obviously, today, if you listen to the press conference, they showed confidence in the offensive tackles. With Matt Parrott, they said he's going to start. But I think if we cut Zeitler, it's obviously the guards. And Zahai, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, if our O-line was excellent, I think our receivers are good enough to help Daniel excel next season. A great O-line would help cut his turnovers in half. If our O-line is excellent, I think our receivers are good enough to help Daniel excel next season. A great O-line would help cut his See, I disagree with that, Zahai. And I'm not saying he can't be better if you brought back the same team. I think he will be, because I think the offensive line will be better, and I think he'll be more accustomed to the scheme. I think Jones would be a better quarterback if you brought back the same team, especially with Barkley coming back. But I don't think it's enough. I do think we need a premium threat on the outside. I think it's time. I think it's at that part in the rebuild process where it's time to get him that weapon. You know, you look at Eli Manning, this is it was the second year, but we went out there and we got him that burst. And I think that he needs that guy right now. I think he needs a legitimate number one wide receiver. And you know me, Zuhaib, if you watch my channel, especially if you were watching me last year, I'm very rarely in favor of spending a first-round draft pick on a wide receiver. I'm very much against it. I think it's one of those positions where you could get value more so than any other position, maybe outside of running back, later in the draft. You just can. It's just facts. But I think it is that important to get him a number one wide receiver, whether it's free agency or whether it's the draft. But he needs it. He needs it. And let's see what we got here. Do you think the Giants cut Zeitler and Solder, maybe get I don't even know what that guy said. He got kicked. Where does Daniel Jones need to improve most? I think it's pocket awareness. See, Randy, I think he improved in that aspect last year. I think he got better with the pocket awareness. He needs to continue to improve. I think he got better at pre-snap reads. Needs to continue to improve. Where I think Daniel Jones really needs to improve the most is the red zone. This past year, he was horrible in the red zone. And I think some of it may have to do with the fact that he didn't have any weapons. Barkley's out. Didn't really have a good red zone target. He shrunk in the red zone. Didn't put points on the board. Was pretty good going 20-20. He's got to put touchdowns on the board. He's got to get our offense as a whole has to get much better in the red zone. So that is where I need to see the biggest improvement from this offense next year. Not just Jones, just the offense in general. Not settling for field goals. We ranked 31st in the league in red zone efficiency last year. That's got to get much better. And Kevin, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. And he says, bringing back OBJ is like getting back your ex. Move on. Kevin, that's my thoughts too, man. And I know, what do you mean we have Ingram? Oh, God. And I know that people love him, like I said, but it's time, man. And I didn't know Bad Dog was going live. So I'll go for another 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll call it a night. I didn't know Bad Dog was going live. But I'm with you, Kevin. I'm with you, man, that I don't think it's the best of ideas. We're done with him. We traded him. He's not a Giant. Period. Move on. What is the point other than the people that still own his jerseys and still love Odell Beckham? What is the point in trading to bring Odell Beckham in with the salary he makes, coming off the injury that he has, when you can just draft one that's younger with more upside? What's the point? Other than just to make people happy that like Odell Beckham. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And Asia, thank you so much for the super stick. I really appreciate that. Mwah. There you go. Thank you very much. I think AJ Green is a very small, sneaky move. Your thoughts? See, people have brought him up to me in the past, man. People have brought him up to me in the past, AJ Green, on a one-year deal. Okay. I don't think he's a number one at this point in time. I don't think he's close to that. I would still think we need to draft a wide receiver. He's old. He's injury prone. It's a cheap option, one-year deal. Okay, but I don't think that's a guy that answers any of our problems long term. He's not near the receiver he once was. So, as a cheap signing, sure, but I don't think he steps in as like a problem solver. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I agree with that. I think he would want more than what I'd be willing to give him. Chris, I still believe Jerry Jeudy was the guy at 4. LL, kidding, sorta. This team will go far as Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas is huge for this team. He may be the. People asked me in the last stream, which player do I think takes the biggest jump this year? I said Andrew Thomas. I think Andrew Thomas takes the biggest jump this year for the New York Giants. And I strongly believe that. I think he's going to be a really good tackle for the Giants. I love the leap that he took in the second half. And he is probably, outside of Jones, quarterback's most important, but is probably the second most important player on this team right now. You need a good blindside protector, and I think he's going to get the job done this year. I really do. Realistically, I like Corey Davis for wide receiver 1. I don't hate Corey Davis. I still don't view him as a 1. He may be a 1A, though. I don't view him as a 1, but maybe he could be a 1A. But I don't want to overpay for him, man. But let's see. Why does everyone want to trade Peppers all this? Michael, I don't know where people heard that. Somebody brought that up earlier. I don't know. I don't know why. I guess because we signed Ryan, but we're not trading Peppers. What would you what would be your pitch to get someone like Galladay to come to New York? What I said earlier. First off, it's money. It's kind of like, entering a poker tournament. If you don't have the ante, don't even come to the table. So if you don't have the money that it's going to take, don't even bother. But what is going to, at that point, if I'm matching everybody else in terms of financials, I think you fit the scheme really well, Galladay. I think we run a scheme that fits your skill set perfectly. The Eric Oriole scheme, and I do believe that. I think he's the type of receiver that we need. And then I go to him and I say, listen, you're going to come here, and I know that we didn't have the greatest offense last year. We're going to have an improved offensive line. We're going to have Barkley back, and you're going to get pelleted with targets. You're going to put up numbers in this offense. We're going to use you heavily in the red zone, and we're going to appreciate you. And with this offer, you see that. That would be what I would try to sell him. I don't know if it would be enough, but I do think he fits the scheme very well. I think he's exactly what we need, and I do think he would perform well here. So that's what I try to sell him on, but I don't think I probably wouldn't be enough. Hookers and blow. Yeah, that might get it done. Chris, if they trade Galladay, do you take Galladay? Do you think we sign Curtis? No, we're not signing 2 wide receivers. Thoughts on Pettis? I want him back. And he's already under contract. He's making nothing. He's making $1 million. So he'll be back. I think he's great in terms of a depth wide receiver, a 4th or 5th wide receiver off the bench. I think he's great. I don't want him in the starting lineup, though, next year. But I definitely think he's a guy that could step in a pinch if somebody goes down with an injury. I think he definitely displayed that he could be a solid wide receiver for you. So I like Pettis. I think that was a very underrated acquisition, actually, by Gettleman late in the season last year. Gettleman made a couple of really nice in-season acquisitions last year throughout the season that kind of helped us get through. That was one of them. I thought that was a really nice move. Obviously, some of the running backs before they went down, Devontae Freeman was okay. Morris was okay. He made a couple of nice little small moves throughout the year that kind of helped his team stay afloat. But Pettis was a nice acquisition. I like David. I like David Sills. I was pissed when Sills got hurt last year. I was excited he was going to make the team. He's tall. Maybe he'll make the team this year. I was rooting for David Sills. I like David Sills. I hopefully he makes the team. Would you be upset if we signed Fuller? Not if it's a 1-year deal, but the thing with Fuller, though, and I don't remember this, Kelly, he's suspended. So I don't know how long the suspension goes. I don't know if it's 2 games, 4 games, 6 games. I don't know. But he's suspended to start the year. He got popped with PEDs. So you got to factor that in. And he's got an injury history. So I don't want to give him a long-term commitment. If it's a 2-year deal, maybe I don't want to give him a long-term commitment. It's 1 game? Okay. Yeah, somebody said he took PEDs, but if we're being real, let's be real here. They all take PEDs. Not all of them, but most of them take PEDs, if we're being honest. Most players in the NFL are probably taking PEDs. It's not nearly as strict in terms of the testing policy as Major League Baseball. I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do. I'm not advocating for it, but a lot of them take PEDs. But the PEDs aren't really what scare me with him. It's the injury history. Will Fuller gets hurt all the time. He gets hurt all the time. No, I do not take PEDs. I am not. I am not a PED taker, Alex. Do you think we could get former Giants players to coach the team in a specific position? I have no. Maybe you're talking about Eli Manning. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe. And not with this team right now. We have a full coaching staff. Maybe one day. Jones better in the shotgun than under center. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I'm trying to think. I'd probably agree with that. I think most quarterbacks are in today's NFL. I think most of them play out of the shotgun. A lot of them play out of the shotgun in college too, so they're not accustomed to going under center. I'd agree with that. And hi, man. Thank you very much, man. We should sign a competent backup quarterback to challenge DJ a bit instead of just giving him the keys. Competition would help accelerate his growth. I think that's fair considering the first 2 seasons. See, I definitely see where you're going. I would like to bring in a better backup. Here's my take on it, Zahib. I want to. If I'm the coach, Jones is my guy this year. I already made the commitment. I'm going to the year. Jones is my guy. I'm going to find out if he's my guy going forward. I'm using this year to find out if Jones is my guy going forward. So me personally, and I saw the Jets do this with Mark Sanchez, and it screwed him up. I don't even want to start to mess with his head at all. I don't want to bring in a guy where he's looking over his shoulder. Oh, they don't believe in me anymore. They brought in somebody that could take my job. I would like to bring in a better backup. I would like to bring in a guy that if Jones gets hurt or if he's really bad through 10 weeks, you could bring somebody in. But I want to give Jones his shot. I want to improve this team, and I want to give Jones his shot this year with a better offense and see what he's got. I'd like to bring in a better backup, though, preferably if it's in the budget. But I am not looking for a guy to compete with him. Personally, I understand people that feel that way. I would not. I want Jones to be the guy going in. We have to see what we've got. I'm not telling you he's a franchise quarterback. I don't know yet. But I've got to find out if he is. And if I start messing with his head, you saw what happened with Carson Wentz last year. They drafted Jalen Hurts, and this was a guy that they already committed to as a franchise quarterback. And I think that had something to do with Carson Wentz's downfall. You saw it happen to Mark Sanchez. You've seen it. You don't mess with your quarterback's head. You show confidence in him, and you give him the opportunity to prove that he's the guy. Yuri, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And he says, if Garrett fails, bring in David Cutcliffe. That would make sense. His quarterback coach, with Duke, that would make sense. If he'd be willing to take the job. And let's see, Tana, when's the tailgate? Kelly, great question. First, we gotta see the schedule, but I want it to be early in the season, because I know a lot of people, they're not gonna want to go to a football game in 20-degree weather. It's not fun to tailgate in 20-degree weather, so I'd like it to be relatively early in the season, September, October, first 6 weeks maybe. So once the schedule comes out, that's when I'll start planning and try to set this thing up. I'm going to talk to my sponsor about it. We're going to try to get something going for that. I think it'd be so cool to have a tailgate where I get to meet, subscribers of my channel. I would love to try, and it's impossible to organize a seating arrangement because it's sold out. The tickets are sold out. You have to buy them on the secondary market. But I would love to set up some kind of thing where we could, get a luxury box or something if it's somewhat affordable to be able to get a group rate, something like that, so we could all hang out, watch the game together. I would love to do something like that, but I'm gonna do a lot more planning as it gets closer and we find out whether or not more fans are gonna be able to go to the game. So something I'm really looking forward to this year, though, man. Tailgate in the winter, never, unless it's a playoff game. Yeah, Freddie. See, I would tailgate in the winter, but I know it's not ideal. You'd much rather tailgate when it's warmer out. Late stream, keep grinding, and I appreciate that, Lucky Smith, man. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. Yeah, we're going to close this out in 10 minutes. Scotty says, Tane, if you search New York Giants, your vid is the first vid that pops up. That's funny, Scott H, because I don't even type in NYG in my tags. I put a lot of tags in. For any video maker in here, I don't know if there is one, make sure you put your tags. I still do them to this day. New York Giants, NY Giants, Giants, Joe Judge, Dave Gettleman, Daniel Jones. That's what I always put. I don't put MIG, though, so that's funny that I'm the first one that pops up. I'm trying to go to the game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Hebrew Israelite, to really getting to meet you guys and hang out and have a big tailgate. I want to do it right. I want to organize it properly. And another thing that I really would love to do in the future is bar meetups. I've seen Knicks Fan TV do that. I think it'd be awesome. Not everybody could afford to go to a game, but to have a bar meetup, go to a bar, rent out the bar, whatever, something like that, where you get 50 people, 40 people, whatever. You rent out a bar at a location that's convenient for everybody, and you watch the game together. I think that's another really cool thing to do. So those are plans I have in the future for the channel that I would love to do. Chris, you passed my comment, Asia says. I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you very much, man. What did I miss? Did I miss a super chat, Asia? I don't think I did. I don't think I did. If Garrett fails, bring in Dave. No, that's the last one I see, Asia. But I will look. I will look here to see what you had to say. Let's see what we got. I remember when your vids had 2K views at most. Now they have 62K. Keep up the good work. I don't get 62K. I appreciate that, but I wish I got 62. I don't get that, but I get more views than I used to. Main focus, man. Thank you very much, man. Tight end, it's at 11. Scroll up a bit. She talked about your Mets. Was it a donation or just a comment? Because it's hard for me to just find I'm not asking her to donate, but I'm trying to keep up with the chat. It's hard for me to see. Asia, just type it again, and I will try to read it. I apologize if I missed it. Main focus, man. Thank you very much, man. Tight end Pitts at 11. He catches everything. Ingram let me down too much in the first Philly game. If he's there, yeah, I know all Giants fans want him. If he's there, 100%, man. If he's there, I'm in as a possibility. I would not be upset at all if we took him. I don't think he's going to be there. Chris, you in New York or New Jersey? I'm in New York, Alex. Zahid, man, thank you very much, man. Which of the top wide receivers in the draft have the highest bust? I love Pitts and Waddle, man. They'll definitely expand the playbook. I think the highest bust is probably Waddle. You know, I like him more than Smith because Waddle's got injury problems. You know, that's what I worry about with him. But Smith, you worry about the size. I think Smith. I think Chase is by far the safest out of the three. I think Chase is by far the safest. I think they're all going to be really good. But if you ask me who's the safest, it's Chase. And I'd probably say Waddle. But I still love Waddle. I think Waddle's going to be really good. But I maybe Waddle. I think Waddle might be the biggest gamble. Tudo, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, I totally believe the Giants team have a better coaching staff 2021 by far this year. It's all about better coaches rather than overrated expensive players. Forget about it. Listen, what's going on, Goldcron? We're going to close this out soon, but you couldn't have said it better. You look at Tudo, and I say this all the time, Tudo, and I said it yesterday. I was in Big Blue in the Bronx's stream. I said it yesterday. In my opinion, the greatest accomplishment, maybe in the history of sports, at least modern day sports, is what the New England Patriots did. When you factor in what they were able to do in the salary cap era, go to 9 Super Bowls, win, 9, right? 9 Super Bowls, win 6 in like a 20-year period during the salary cap era. And the biggest reason why they did it, Tudo, was not talent. The biggest reason why they did it was coaching. Coaching is so important in the NFL. And that's why the New England Patriots were as consistent as they were. They got the most out of the players. They were able to assign them roles and find players that could do the things that they were looking to do to get the most out of their talents. I think that's what the Giants are trying to assemble. I think that's what they're trying to mimic. And yeah, I think coaching is so important in the NFL. And that's what made them as consistent, as great as they were. So I'm with you on that, man. And hopefully we're building an all-star coaching staff. No, well, Brady, obviously. Like I see Scotty Joe said, it was Brady. Of course, Brady had a lot to do with it. He's the quarterback. But the coaching had a huge part to do with it. You look at all the players that went there. Wes Welker was a nothing. And it's not just on offense. It was defense, too. Players would go there that were nothing. Kyle Van Noy, perfect example. Detroit couldn't wait to get rid of Van Noy. He goes there. He's great. Nate Solder, he's great there. New England said, we don't need you. He sucks when he leaves. The coaching got the most out of the players on that team, Tom Brady included. 6th-round pick. There's a reason he was a 6th-round pick. New England got the most out of their players. The coaching, in my opinion, was the most important thing. Obviously, Brady was the most important player, but I think the coaching overall was the most important thing for their consistency. And I'll just point to when Brady went down. Even when Brady went down, that team went 11-5. Brady didn't play a game. And even in seasons where he was suspended, they went 3-1. Jimmy Garoppolo went 3-1. Jacoby Brissett went like 3-1. The coaching with that team was incredible. And I think coaching is most important when you have it at that type of level, man. And what's going on, Diehard Yankees fan, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Oh, you're talking about my stream. Yeah. Yeah, my stream was, that stream blew up, the Seahawks stream. Peter, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, I guess the coaching is not important. I agree to disagree. I think the coaching is very important. Peter, man, thank you very much. As much as I want a wife, here's the other thing I'll say. If the coaching is not important and it's just the quarterback, everybody loves Deshaun Watson. Everybody can't wait to trade him to the Giants. How'd they do? He won 4 games. If it's just the quarterback, I mean, everybody thinks Deshaun Watson is the greatest thing since sliced bread. They won 4 games. Peter, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, as much as I want the wide receiver in the first round, I think we can get a good one in round 2, like Terrace Marshall or St. Brown, or go edge, offensive tackle, or cornerback in the first. If that's what they value, maybe that is what they will do. you know, I still think they're going wide receiver in the first. I'd be surprised if they don't, but nothing would shock me, man. But, guys, and I just saw YOLO Fluffy said, finally made it to his stream. You're going to have to watch it back because we are going to close this out. Sorry. It's 493. I try to give you guys advance notice. I know not everybody can come in when I make it, but I said it in my video today. I put it in the pinned comment. I say it on Twitter. But I will be live again to talk Giants. And it was a good stream, so check it out after the fact. I will be live again to talk Giants with Beto on Saturday. So we'll be doing the talk of Giants. That'll be at 10 o'clock. So if you want to come by, that's when the stream is going to be. Saturday, 10 o'clock, if it can fit your schedule. That's when we'll be live on the channel. That'll be my next Giant stream. Obviously, I'm going to have videos. Obviously, there's going to be news coming out. But my next live stream will be Saturday. I'll be doing the Knicks on Thursday. I think that's their next game. But the next Giant stream will be Saturday. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the support you guys always show me. You guys are the best supporters on YouTube. I could never, ever say it enough. Everything you could do for my channel each and every day. You know, somebody said I can't believe how big your channel's grown. Well, you know, I say it all the time, man. It's because of you. And without you guys, this channel doesn't grow. So I could never say thank you enough for everything you do for me in my life, on my channel. Yeah, I'm blown away. So thank you to everybody for being here. And you know we'll talk soon. And Louie, man, thank you very much. MetLife is selling seats instead of tickets. Huh. That's weird. Interesting. I know that they're selling limited capacity right now, but we'll see, man. But guys, thank you guys so much, man. I appreciate it, man. You guys are the best supporters on YouTube. You guys have a great rest of your night.